live presentation of CBC Sports.
Two stories tonight. First up, the failure of home cooking. Vincent Damphousse clearly likes his end-to-end rushes with a dash of MSG. Vincent was immense in Manhattan in games 1 and 2. Mark Messier, for his part, he must be a Molson center because he got his game together when he went to Montreal. Inspirational efforts in game 3 and 4 have evened the series. Mario Tremblay's remedy, a trip to New York for game 5 tonight. Meantime, in the Motor City, Joe Louis will entertain the Great White Hope. A lone cry for an encore. The jet stream will run from southern Manitoba directly to Detroit, spawned by the ultimate love affair. Phoenix offers carte blanche, but the real deal is still in the north. The fans, they'll survive this abdication, but they'll never surrender the faith. Last Tuesday in the bullseye of the nation, a mock prime minister showed up sporting a legitimate sign. The rink is for rent, but the fans are already sold. With the exception of Windsor, you're going to New York City tonight. The Montreal Canadiens, New York Rangers, Game 5 of the series tied at 2. For Windsor and Western Canada, you'll convene at Joe Louis Arena, Detroit. The Jets try to stave off elimination as they meet the Red Wings in Game 5 of their affairs. We welcome you back to the Broadcast Center in downtown Toronto. Our coverage of 3 games this evening in the 1996 Stanley Cup playoffs on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC. Good evening, I'm Ron McLean. Never in the history of the NHL have series seen 7 games with the visitors winning every single one of them, but could happen in 2. Pittsburgh and Washington, all 4 games have been won by the road teams, and of course, you know that's the storyline in New York City tonight. Réjean Tremblay said it'll take St. Anne, the Virgin Mary, and more to help Montreal win there. I bet Mario Tremblay doesn't feel that way. Dick Irvin and Greg Millen.
Well, Ron, we're in downtown Manhattan. It's noisy here, but this is Game 5, or is it, Greg?
Well, I don't know. I think it's really a 2 out of 3 now, Dick. With the Montreal Canadiens, they have to steal 1 here in New York and win at home. It's that simple.
Health of the Rangers, Greg. Messier was bothered. Their defense banged up. The coach is sick.
Well, that's right. Mark Messier's sick as well. Colin Campbell told me this morning, he says, you know, I don't know how he can play because this is a horrible flu bug. Mark Messier has not practiced at all week. Kevin Lowe's out. He has a bad wrist. Doug Lidster will be in. So the Rangers are not healthy at all. For the Montreal Canadiens, though, Benoit Brunet is back. He'll play with Turgeon and Kovalenko.
And, Ron, that's the first game Brunet's played since Game 1.
Well, it'll be a big challenge for the Canadiens. They're at Madison Square Garden, New York, where the fans are riled up. The big question at Joe Louis Arena, Detroit tonight is who's Scotty going with in goal? And for that, here's Don Whitman and Brian Hayward.
Well, Ron, it really doesn't come as any surprise. Chris Osgood is the starting goaltender, and Brian, even before this series got underway, I think this alternating plan is what Scotty Bowman had in mind all along. You know, this has been labeled as the season to remember in Winnipeg, and the Jet players are hoping that they will get the chance to experience white noise at least one more time.
You know, it is a really strange situation with a loss. Effectively, the Winnipeg Jets become the Phoenix Coyotes. Game 4 in Winnipeg felt like we were at an Irish wake. Some people were celebrating, others visibly upset. Certainly, everyone involved has an emotional attachment, not only to that game, but to the franchise as well.
And if the Jets are going to extend this series to a 6th game, their power play has to begin functioning.
Well, the numbers pretty much tell the story. You see Winnipeg goalless and the special teams, they have got to come through. Certainly, they need to play a physical game, but I tell you what, they got to stay out of the penalty box.
And once again tonight, Ron, discipline will be the key word here at the Joe Louis Arena for the Winnipeg Jets.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Brian. There's no question special teams have been a huge factor in that series. Even strength. Each club has 6 goals. It's 9-0 Detroit. Special teams, 6 on the power play and 3 shorthanded. Coming up next, Kelly Rudy will join me and we'll set up the games you're about to watch from Madison Square Garden or Joe Louis Arena on Hockey Night in Canada.
Roaming around your world, the experiences, exploring an unpublished map you have inside, winding up making yourself at home. And when in Rome, you know. Why? Because I am.
job was to build a tough truck. So we put the new F-150 through hard labor and came up with features that work. The only super cab with a standard third door. The only 60/40 split rear bench. More footroom, more headroom, and the only standard dual airbags in its class. We figure if it can handle the punishment from 9 to 5, it should work just fine on weekends. The all-new 1997 Ford F-150. Strength after strength after strength.
Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC. Brought to you by Molson Canadian. By Ford Motor Company of Canada Limited. And by Pepsi. Nothing else is a Pepsi.
Here at the Broadcast Center this evening, we'll be tracking the progress of the 3 games. You're about to watch the Jets and the Wings in Detroit, and of course, Games 5 of those series for the Road Warriors at Madison Square Garden, New York. It's Montreal and the Rangers, and the other game is, of course, featuring Pittsburgh and Washington. But to set up Detroit against Winnipeg, here's Kelly Rudy, and what do you think Detroit's going to go into this game trying to do?
Well, I hope their mindset is one where they want to go into this game and finish off Winnipeg. This is a very good game for them in that they finished in the conference #1. Winnipeg finished #8. It's a perfect chance to show their killer instinct and make sure that they get some rest for the next series.
Is it more about the psychology of that, or is it more about the rest physically to face Chicago, Colorado, Vancouver, whomever it might be?
I think it's both, and we're seeing some of it with Bowman not playing Osgood in some of those games. I really enjoy this, as a matter of fact, and that now after experiencing it myself firsthand and going through with it and living it, it's exciting, and Bowman is testing Osgood, and it's not exclusive to Osgood. He's doing it to all the other players in a different way.
Now, if Chris is a young guy, he's a little cranky about this. Can Winnipeg do anything to get him off his game early, or do you think he's capable of rising to this little mental game?
I think that's why Bowman's doing this to him, because he knows that he can rise above this, and he just wants to put that fire under there again, and although he finished 39-6 in the regular season, which is a amazingly good record, there's nothing wrong with playing these games, and it's going to make Osgood better in the later rounds when times get tougher.
All right, we'll watch that with interest as the Winnipeg Jets roll into town trying to stay alive. For more on the story, to the Joe Louis Arena in Scott Oak.
Ron, logic says the Jets won't make it easy, but they will have to overcome enormous odds tonight if they're to avoid becoming the Phoenix Coyotes by morning. Good luck finding anybody to bet against the Red Wings finishing off this series here at the Joe tonight. Their countdown stands at 13. That's the number of wins they require to complete their march to the Stanley Cup. The Red Wings call it their mission. A record 62-win regular season was but a tune-up, and to signal to the rest of the NHL that the Wings are serious about taking the Cup back to Detroit for the first time in 41 years. There was a blip in Game 3 in Winnipeg, but otherwise a finely tuned machine led by great players like Sergei Fedorov and Paul Coffey rolls on the verge of a 5-game series victory over the Jets. There has been some emotion, but generally the Wings have been mechanical, all business, if you will. Paul Coffey looks like he's in his prime, and production has come from everybody, not just the stars. How about Greg Johnson in Game 1, icing the Red Wings' victory? And then there was Chris Draper, another foot soldier who scored in Games 1 and 2, and this is a player sold to Detroit by Winnipeg for the princely sum of $1 3 years ago. When they're not scoring, they're defending, and the home and away goaltending duo of Vernon and Osgood is taking care of that. All of this under the watchful eye of the master. After pulling up 4 games short last year, the Wings can't afford to disappoint the fans at the Joe. They've got the scent and fully expect their team to finish off its first playoff opponent tonight. Hardest thing to figure out about the Wings is who their starting goaltender will be, and as Don has said, it's Chris Osgood tonight. Nikolai Habibulin, or as they're calling him here in Detroit, the Bulin Wall for the Jets. He's won the respect of the Wings and their fans, and why not, with the Wings outshooting the Jets 136-75 to this point in the series. And now we're set for Game 5. Here are Don Whitman and Brian Hayward.
Well, Scott, the fans at the Joe Louis are anticipating this series will come to an end tonight. Nikolai Habibulin will have to stand tall in goal again for the Winnipeg Jets if they are to prolong this affair to a 6th game in Winnipeg on Sunday. Chris Osgood has given up only 1 goal in the 2 games he has played. He shut out the Jets in Game 2 here at the Joe Louis Arena. Dan Marawelli, who handled that marathon between Washington and Pittsburgh the other night, is the referee for tonight's game, and the fans start to roar. the moment the Red Wings touch the puck from the opening faceoff. The Jets again will try and slow down the Wings coming through the neutral zone. That's a task easier said than done, Brian.
Well, a huge factor in tonight's game is going to be Keith Tkachuk and Keith Janney. The Winnipeg Jets, take a look at their lineups for tonight's game. Pretty much the same group of fellas out on the ice that they've had for the majority of the season. Ian Fraser steps in and plays once again. He has received spot duty. Defensive pairings will remain the same for Winnipeg as well, and certainly that's a group that has to step up into the play and contribute, I think, an awful lot more to the offensive part of this hockey team.
McCarty stepped into McIver as he dished the puck off, and there's another solid hit down in the Winnipeg zone. Olchek attempts to dig it out. Tkachuk is there as well. His centering attempt picked up by Lidstrom. He whips it around the boards, cut off by Manson. He throws it into the corner. Tkachuk and McCarty battle for it. McCarty goes down. Lidstrom tries to bank it out, and he succeeds. Lead pass for Bob Airy, intercepted by Dave Manson. Airy was in behind the defender, but Manson was able to cut it off. Now it's Airy again. Long shot. That's steered to the corner by Abby Bullen. Dino Ciccarelli, who broke his nose yesterday at practice in a collision with Martin Lapointe, is out there for the Red Wings. He's on a line with Draper and Primo. Ciccarelli fighting for it along the board. Primo's in there with him. Big Primo, who has really been quiet through the first 4 games, only has 1 point. The battle for the puck continues back to the goal. Ciccarelli finally taken down by Stapleton. There's going to be a penalty. Here's Coffey from the point. His shot steered to the corner, and as it's touched by Finlay, the whistle goes.
A real physical start to this hockey game. The Red Wings come out hitting. The Jets respond in kind, but eventually there's a holding call in behind the play. Stapleton pulls down Ciccarelli back of the goal line, and the one thing that the Winnipeg Jets did not want to do early in this hockey game is give that Red Wing power play an opportunity. Get a chance to see it right there. Stapleton just reaches out, and Dino embellishes it. He does a pretty good job of it, too. Watch Ciccarelli. Kicks the legs up for emphasis. You see the right arm of Dan Maruelli go up. Stapleton gets the holding call. Remember, it was Stapleton who took a couple of bad penalties in Game 4 in Winnipeg that really cost Winnipeg.
Huge size discrepancy. Stapleton at 5'10", 183. And for the Red Wings, you have Primo at 6'4", 220 pounds.
Well, there's the story of Game 4. 4 for 7 on the power play. They look pretty darn impressive in game number 4.
Coffey and Fedorov are on the point. There's a shot, the rebound. Ciccarelli tried to jam it, and Abby Bullen got a piece of that one. Fedorov feeds it over to Coffey. Coffey trying to set something up. Now he decides to move in. In front of the net is Ciccarelli, and that's where he is also ever so dangerous as he screens the goaltender and really causes fits for Nikolai Habibulin.
You know, Ciccarelli has really become a problem for the Jets penalty killers, and I think that those forwards up top of the penalty killing unit have got to do a better job preventing those point shots from getting through.
Back of the net, Larionov lets it go. Veteran Craig Muni gets it on the other side, finds some skating room, throws it ahead to Darren Shannon. Shannon will dump a soft backhander down into Red Wing territory with 1:06 remaining in the penalty.
You know, there's a continuing trend on the Detroit power play. Get it in the hands of Paul Coffey. He just throws it into the crease area.
Newmanen had problems with the puck in his skates. Newmanen gets it again, chops it along the boards for Korolev. They can't get it out. Finlay on the other side this time is able to bank it off the boards and down the ice with 40 seconds remaining on the Detroit power play. Here comes Coffey flying out of his own zone. The shoot-in takes the bounce right in front of the Winnipeg net. The puck is loose, and Jamnov picks it up and clears.
You know, one of the other things that is much different in the way the two penalty killers approach the game is that you sense the Jets are unwilling to put a lot of pressure on the Red Wings up ice in their zone. As a result, they hit that Winnipeg blue line with a full head of steam, and they don't have much difficulty whatsoever penetrating the blue line area and maintaining full control of that puck.
Johnson gains the line, working against Manson. The puck comes to the net, and it's held by Abby Bullen with just 3 seconds remaining in the Stapleton penalty. But there is a decided difference, and I'm sure our viewers will note as the game progresses how the Red Wings have been very aggressive with their forechecking on the penalty kill. The Jets are a little more passive.
No question about that. And when you're passive, you have to start winning the battles down in front of the net, especially when Cicerelli is on the ice. We talked about the fact, take a look at the broken nose of Dino Cicerelli. A lot of swelling there. Coffey's just going to throw this puck into the crease area. Habby Boulin makes 2 brilliant saves. And Dino gets the rebound and flips it off the post. But you can see all the traffic in front of Habby Boulin. He does a good job of locating that puck and reacting to the rebound. Cicerelli comes close to finishing. A very dangerous player, and I think the penalty killers are going to have to change the approach somewhat.
It's going to be another busy night for Habby Boulin. If the opening moments of this game are any indication, he has already stopped 4 shots. And now Stapleton is back in the ice. The Winnipeg Jets have survived the first Red Wing onslaught. Eastwood broke it up at center ice, but Taylor gains control and fires it in. Going into the corner after it is Draper. He and McIver bumped. McIver trying to hold up Draper. He's attempting to move the puck, manages to get a hand free, and is moving it along the boards with McIver sticking right to him. Now Draper frees himself. Draper trying to move out front. He knocks McIver down, controls the puck as he comes back to the line. Taylor was in front looking for that centering pass. It didn't get to him in time. Now Brown leaves it there for Taylor. Good job of cycling down low by the Red Wings. Manson now trying to handle Draper in the corner. Finally, the Jets get control, and they are able to clear.
You know, the Red Wings do a good job of cycling it down low, but you have to admire the defensive zone coverage of the Winnipeg Jets. You sense that there is a lot less panic in the defensive zone early on in this hockey game than what we witnessed in Game 4.
Fedorov has yet to score a goal in this series, but he tied a club record with 4 assists in Game 2. As he tried to come in across the Winnipeg line, a chorus of boos comes out of the stands as he got involved with the linesman on the far side and lost the puck in the process. Solid hit put on Teppo Numminen. Here's a chance now for Dome. But it's whistled down, and there's a penalty call in the play. Behind the play with 14:54 remaining in the period.
I'm Jim McKay with another update from the 2020 Global Games. Little Jacqueline Keller captured the gold today on the highly uneven bars, while Austria's gentle giant Milos dominated the 1-ton power lift. The highlight of the day so far was the record-breaking 300-meter dolphin relay.
The world of sports is ever evolving, but athletes of today can choose All Sport Body Quencher for fluid replacement, unsurpassed taste, thirst-quenching flavors.
Coming up later, the graduated hurdles.
Find out why all America has fallen in love with Waiting to Exhale.
Everyone can relate to one of these characters.
Exactly. Rachel Bassett. Brilliant. Whitney Houston. Beautiful.
Waiting to Exhale. Own it on video for $22.98 or less. Face it, no other razor shaves closer or with more comfort than Gillette Sensor XL. No razor is better.
An interference call against Keith Tkachuk at 5:06 will give the Red Wings their second early power play. The Jets survived the first on the call against Mike Stapleton. There's a broken pane of glass down in the Winnipeg Jet zone, and very quickly the maintenance staff is out there to repair it. Keith Tkachuk will spend at least a portion of the next 2 minutes in the penalty box.
Well, look at the call right at the bottom right of your screen. It's the pick from Keith Tkachuk and Vladimir Konstantinov, and that's what springs Shane Doan in for the breakaway on Chris Osgood. That's a good call by Merwelli.
On the power play, the Red Wings 6 for 26 in the series. They had 4 shots on their first power play opportunity. Terry Simpson was again stressing discipline when he talked about how his team would have to play in this 5th game tonight at the Joe Louis Arena.
Let's take a look at the adjustments and the changes that Scotty Bowman has made with his lineup. You see that Brown is inserted into the 3rd line. Not many changes, of course, for a team that really dominated Game 4 in this season. Kirk Maltby will sit the night out in the press box. No changes back of that blue line. Bob Rouse, the 7th defenseman for the Red Wings, yet to appear in a game in this series.
Well, Konstantinov is a player who has been getting under the skin of the Winnipeg Jets from the moment the first puck was dropped in this series, and he continues to irritate some members of the team.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting situation. You've got Konstantinov, you've got the goaltending situation, the end result being it deflects all of the media attention away from Paul Coffey, Steve Yzerman, Sergei Fedorov.
Terry Simpson this morning had these thoughts on the confidence of his Winnipeg Jets going into this fifth game.
Well, confidence, I think that sort of puts the level of the game in perspective. That's the type of game we have to play. We have to play to that level, and we have to do it for 60 minutes. And, you know, that game was a 1-1 game for the most part of the game, too. And so you have to stay with your game, and but you have to, right from the opening whistle. I mean, the tough thing is to get down in this building, and, you know, the best thing, of course, is you can get the lead like in game one, or you can keep the crowd out of it a little bit. Helps a lot.
And perhaps taking a cue from white noise in Winnipeg, I don't think I've seen as many red jerseys and red shirts inside the Joe Louis as there are here tonight. Jamnov streaking down the left side, trying to go around Coffey. Coffey was able to get back and pick him up. Korolev leaves it there for Jamnov. Korolev gets it back again. Yzerman is in there trying to steal it away from him. Korolev doing a good job of moving the puck along the boards. And now it's Coffey starting back for the wing. 14-16 remaining in the first period. 120 in the penalty to Keith Tkachuk. Wings trying to set something up. Coffey at the point, gets it across to Fedorov. His shot is blocked. It goes off Stapleton and ricochets out to center ice. The Jets change up on the penalty killing unit. Coffey remains out there on the power play for the Wings. Finlay gets control, and in clearing it, he banks it off the glass all the way down the ice. Going back after it is Shannon. He takes Fedorov in against the end board. King goes to the other corner. He got tied up, and Fedorov kicks it free now for Primo. Primo takes a hit at center ice. The Jets' Chris King gets the puck. He's knocked down, and he's hurt.
You got to worry about the knee of Chris King. He appears to be in an awful lot of pain on that ice, and it was one of those low body checks that took the legs out from underneath King. You can see not much question that he has been shaken up. No call on the play by Mirwelli. We'll get a chance to see it right here. Here's the first hit. Muni on Primo, and it's like hitting a wall. Primo doesn't even go down. And watch King and keep an eye on the legs. You see, it's the right leg of Igor Larionov that makes knee-to-knee contact with Chris King, and King gets the worst of that exchange. He's making his way over to the locker room. I don't think Terry Simpson will be too pleased with the non-call by Mirwelli. Again, the original hit, and watch as King comes in for the puck, and it's going to be knee-to-knee contact right there, and it's actually Fedosov that makes the hit on King. Not Fedosov, Sergei Fedorov.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets are already without Dallas Drake. He was injured in Game 3 of this series, and now Chris King has limped off to the dressing room. 33 seconds remaining in the Keith Tkachuk penalty. Fedosov takes the puck back of his own net.
Penalty kill is doing a much better job of forcing the Red Wings in their own zone and not just allowing them easy access into the offensive zone.
Fedosov fires one wide. Lidstrom from the other point lets it go through traffic. The rebound, they bang away, and Happy Bullen managed to get to it. Loose puck in the Winnipeg zone. Muni couldn't clear. And finally, the Jets do get it out as Korolev dumps at the length of the ice, and Keith Tkachuk is now ready to step back in the ice. So the Jets have survived the first two penalties. And the Winnipeg Jets, Craig Janney feeds it ahead to Tkachuk. He was checked by Fedosov. Lidstrom comes back to pick up the puck. Tkachuk bumps him in against the boards. Primo has it now. Skates away from Olchek. Can't take the puck with him. Kozlov was checked as he tried to work out. Now Primo throws it out to center ice. Picked up there by Fedorov. He circles back. Gives it to Lidstrom. Lidstrom dumps it softly down the ice. The Wings make a complete change.
You know, Winnipeg doing a much better job in this game. The gap is fairly tight between those Detroit forwards. They're having a tougher time attacking with speed early in this hockey game. That's a critical adjustment for Winnipeg to make.
Craig Janney at the blue line was looking for a breakaway pass from Olczyk, but it went over 2 lines, offside Winnipeg.
The team we selected to work on the new tours had an incredible amount of passion for play.
Craftsmanship was a very important part of the design.
It's all elliptical, inside and out.
It's actually sculpted around the components of the engine.
So the hood actually flowed into the lamps. Everything has a nice moving form, a sculptural form. Our main objective and goal is to create a breakthrough design and put everybody else a step behind us.
Redesigned, re-engineered, reinvented the 1996 Ford.
Some Canadians think of True Value as their locally owned neighborhood store. Truth is, we're part of 6,000 stores worldwide dedicated to value. Here's proof. Help for everything you grow. Organic-based pink Bigelow fertilizer, now $7.97 for a 9-kilogram bag. Save $50 on this Rally rear bagger gas mower featuring a 20-inch cut, 3.5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton engine, just $219.97. True Value, the friendliness of a neighbor, the strength of a chain.
Keith Primo yet to record his first goal of the 96 playoff. He gets a couple of terrific opportunities down here. Point-blank range on Habby Boulin. It's a play we've seen an awful lot of from the Red Wings. They seem to have 2 white shirts surrounding the front of the net. You can see there's an obvious 2-on-1 disadvantage for Craig Muni and Nikolai Habby Boulin to have to deal with. Habby Boulin makes a brilliant rebound save, and boy, I think we've seen that one before where the forward falls in on top of the goalkeeper.
Happened in Toronto, and that took Grant Fuhr out of the postseason. Eastwood tried to shovel it through the middle. It was broken up there by Ramsey. A loose puck at center ice, and coming back to pick it up is Johnson. He feeds Ramsey. He moves it ahead to Konstantinov. Right wing pass too far for Johnson, and Habby Boulin will cover up with a Red Wing player right on top of him.
Let's take a look at some of the keys tonight's hockey game. For the Winnipeg Jets, of course, they were clearly outgunned by a wide margin in game number 4. They got to stay out of the pucks. They've already got 2 penalties so far in tonight's game. They need to get production from the power play unit. They need to worry more about themselves than the Detroit Red Wings, and that means coming out and hitting and playing a physical hockey game and doing all the things that made them successful during the year. Of course, Habby Boulin is huge for the Red Wings. I think they need to hold up the wingers. When Winnipeg has been successful, they've been able to get in on that Detroit defense, and they will continue to attack with speed. You might have noticed I said shoot high there. Scotty Bowman wanted 2 adjustments from his players against Habby Boulin. He wanted them to take more high shots because Habby Boulin, known as a butterfly-style goalkeeper, and secondly, traffic in front. Now, they've done a good job with traffic in front early in this game.
Shannon dumps it in. The Red Wings again are causing the Jets some problems in the neutral zone, breaking up plays, forcing turnovers, and turnovers is something the Jets have to be aware of. Here's Johnson throwing it in front, and it's deflected over top of the net. Konstantinov had been driving hard for the net as the defensemen with the Red Wings jump up into the play frequently, and he redirected the centering pass from Johnson over top of Nikolai Habby Boulin.
They also got a pretty good piece of Nikolai Habby Boulin after that puck went wide of the goal. Reckless abandon, that's what you know about Konstantinov.
Shamrock was looking for the pass from Manson. It was broken up, and back comes Bergevin. He slides it ahead to Coffey. Coffey feeds it over on the wing. In front! Puck loose in the Winnipeg crease, and again, Habby Boulin covers up. Boy, there have been some scoring opportunities for the Red Wings early in this first period. Let's go to the broadcast center and Ron McLean.
Thank you, Don. First highlight from the Igloo this evening. A strange goal. Yager to Mario Lemieux, but Kolzig with the poke check. Then Nedved is stopped by Jim Johnson. Mario finally gets it his first goal of the Stanley Cup at 8:36. 1-0 Pittsburgh, Don.
And here, 10:28 remaining in the opening period, and Nikolai Habby Boulin has kept the Wings off the board with some spectacular saves.
Well, take a look at this last chance. The centering feed from Johnson to Konstantinov, and again, Konstantinov making a beeline for that front of the net. Gets a good piece of this puck, but it goes up and over the crossbar. But again, a lot of contact with Nikolai Habby Boulin. The Red Wings have run right over top of him 2 or 3 times in this game already.
The Red Wings have also had a fair bit of success in the face-off circle. Kozlov works against Tkachuk. They tie each other up, and Humanen takes it back of his own net. Very quickly. McCarty is on him. That also appears to be a game plan of the Red Wings. Try and pressure the Jets' best defenseman, Teppo Numminen.
Teppo Numminen has had a pretty tough series so far. In fact, it's rare that you've seen Numminen wandering up into the offensive zone. I think that's a result of all the special attention the Red Wings have paid to him.
Numminen lost his stick with the puck in skates along the boards. He's able to retrieve it, and finally the whistle goes.
Jeff Finley doing a good job working down low in the defensive zone. Certainly Winnipeg quite willing to take as many whistles as they possibly can. It allows them to regroup. It allows Terry Simpson to make any lineup adjustments and any matching situations he wants to in the hockey game. We talked about Teppo Numminen. Boy, would you like to see him get on the board offensively. The Red Wings, for all intents and purposes, have just shut him right down.
Numminen set a team record, or not a team record, but had a personal high this year for a defenseman for goals and assists. But so far in the postseason, he has been shut out. Olchek battling for the puck. Gets it again behind the net, threw it out front. Nobody in position. Tkachuk takes a swipe at it. Tkachuk goes back to the net, a wraparound try. Back at the point now, Finlay had some problems trying to control it, and finally it's picked up by the Wings, and they throw it out to center ice. 9:33 remaining in the opening period. No score here at the Joe Louis Arena. Game 5 of this series. The Red Wings attempting to wrap it up. The Jets trying to take it home for a 6th game on Sunday. Shannon was alone at the blue line, but couldn't handle the lead pass. Now, he was looking for Tverdovsky back at the point, but the puck took a bounce over his stick and all the way back into Winnipeg territory.
But some good pressure by the Jets down low, and they've been finding people through the middle of the ice, and at times have split that Detroit defense.
Again, Shannon was straightened up at the blue line by Konstantinov. Lead pass for Larionov, gathered up by Newman, and he can't clear. Fedorov gets it back to Larionov. Newman gets into the play as well, tries to bang it up along the board. Kept in by the wings. Larionov trying to pick it up out of the air. Fedorov along the boards with Kozlov. It goes to the other side. Shannon at the tail end of a long shift flips it down the ice, and he goes to the bench on a change. 8:31 the time remaining in a still scoreless opening period here at the Joe Louis Arena.
It's no surprise that Canada exports so much when you consider how much Canadians have to offer the world. That's why since 1990, Ford of Canada has invested some $4 billion in this country and its future so that we can build vehicles right here, not only for the roads of Canada, but also for the roads of the world as well. Ford and Canada, same road, right direction.
8:31 remaining in the first period. The face-off back in the Winnipeg zone. The Winnipeg Jets in game 1 of this series scored the first goal. They were able to keep that advantage through 2 periods, but then the Red Wings scored 4 times in the third. A shot from the point is held by Javi Bulin, and another face-off will take place in Winnipeg territory.
Shots on goal so far in this hockey game, 8 for the Red Wings, 0 for the Winnipeg Jets. So once again, that ice seems tilted in tonight's hockey game. Of course, the Red Wings have benefited from a couple of power plays early on. Javi Bulin maintains his brilliant performance. If not for him, this game perhaps already could be 1 or 2-0.
Well, one of your keys for this hockey game, Brian, was for Javi Bulin to stand on his head. And in the opening period, he's been doing just that.
You know, Winnipeg has made a much more determined effort to stand up players in the neutral zone. But the Red Wings just attack with so much speed and so much talent up front that it's still quite often not enough. Detroit has not turned over too many pucks.
Jamnoff in forechecking for Winnipeg. He's tied up immediately by Konstantinov. Now Fedorov moves it over to Larionov. Comes out to center ice by Fedosov, but he can't go anywhere with it. Now it's Korolev. He's checked as he tries to work in. Finlay from the point with a shot that didn't get through. Lead pass intercepted by Korolev. Korolev got to the line and he was knocked down. Back come the Red Wings. It's Kozlov in across the line, dumping it to the corner. Back after it goes McIver. Kozlov was knocked down. The fans react. Dave Manson, who dished out the check on Kozlov, thought he may have been high stick by Kozlov as he went down. Now it's Fraser out there for Winnipeg. He plays it cross ice to Korolev. Korolev will dump it in. He ran into Marawelli as he was making his way off to the Winnipeg bench.
Things going pretty much the way I think Terry Simpson would have liked them to in this hockey game, although there's been a territorial advantage for the Red Wings. They haven't been able to take the lead so far.
Canadian Tire has great prices on everything you need. Plus, earn Canadian Tire money with every cash purchase of merchandise. Canadian Tire. Everyday low prices made better.
Well, here's the latest on Chris King. The Jets will play the rest of the game without him. He limped off to the locker room earlier, and after being examined by the team doctor, they called for his equipment bag. King's got his gear off now and will not return tonight. The extent of the damage done, we don't know just yet, but we should be able to get it later on.
Well, Chris King is the captain of the Winnipeg Jets, and he's used sparingly at times. He's a penalty killer, and they are going to miss that aspect of his game as this fifth game progresses here at the Joe Louis Arena.
Well, the other element, of course, is that people will have to step up and assume the position of King, and that means a lot of the youngsters on that Winnipeg bench are going to have to log more minutes. We expect to see Shane Doan and Chad Kilger perhaps spend a little bit more time on the ice than perhaps Simpson would want them to do in this kind of high-pressure situation. Konstantinov, always a factor. There he lines up Igor Korolev, catches Korolev with his head down in the neutral zone. Bad Vlad always seems to have a pretty significant impact on every hockey game for the Red Wings.
A bouncing puck at the blue line. Eastwood stepped into Ramsey as the puck was deflected into the Red Wing bench.
Mike Eastwood, another fellow who's a grinding type of player, hasn't really been able to put the bodies on those white shirts that he would certainly like to. Eastwood's a guy that Simpson has out there to take a lot of defensive zone faceoffs. Another area that the Red Wings have clearly dominated in this series.
Eastwood is still looking for his first point of the postseason. He's out there with Doan and Shannon. McIver is forced to drop it back to Dave Manson. Manson throws it up the middle. It bounced off Bob Airy. Airy tried to chop it out and succeeded when it was brought in offside by Darren Shannon.
You know, the number of whistles certainly won't hurt the Winnipeg Jets, that's for sure, because you really want to slow down the flow and any momentum that Detroit has built up in this hockey game. There you see Paul Coffey's regular defense partner, Bergevin. Marawelli, for the most part, I think, has called a pretty good game so far, and he's just kind of let the players play the hockey game. There have been some elbows and some slashes away from the play, and Marawelli's just kind of looked the other way. And I think that's wise. I mean, this, after all, is playoff hockey.
When we talked with Marawelli today, he said he was going to have an afternoon nap because he was still a little weary after that marathon in Washington the other night between Pittsburgh and the Capitals.
You think about it, the officials don't get a break. Marawelli stayed out there for 7 consecutive periods almost.
A delayed offside call at the Winnipeg line. 6:33 remaining in the first period. As you said, Brian, the Jets won't mind all the whistles as that slows down the game, and the Red Wings have been trying to take advantage of their speed, and it has been a killer for the Winnipeg Jets in 3 of the 4 games.
Scotty Bowman surveying the situation. Certainly Scotty likes the officials to get more involved in a hockey game. In fact, he often remarks on how he thinks some of the senior linesmen out on the ice should have a little bit more authority and be able to make calls away from the play. He's been lobbying for that at the National Hockey League level. As of yet, of course, there has been no response.
We talked about Dino Ciccarelli breaking his nose in practice yesterday. Paul Coffey broke his nose in Game 2 here at the Joe Louis Arena when he caught an errant elbow from Craig Janney. But Coffey never missed a shift. They straightened his nose out, and he went right back out. The same thing with Dino Cicerelli. Immediately after breaking his nose yesterday, he asked the trainer to straighten it out. He said it was painful, it hurt, but better now than later.
Yeah, Dino said, as well as Paul Coffey, he said, we'll find out how good Johnny Wharton is when the swelling goes down. Just kind of laughed it off, and he said, hey, it was just one of those days at practice the other day.
And then he got into a bit of a skirmish with Stu Grimson, and that would have been a mismatch. Very quickly, teammates stepped between them.
Well, I love that. It kind of demonstrates the intensity that Cicerelli has and the passion that he has for the game. You know, some players lose that with advancing age. Certainly Cicerelli has not.
The deflection handled by Happy Bullen. Jets are being pressured in their own zone again, and all Tkachuk could do was try and bank it off the boards and out. Now it's Chris Draper winding up and firing it in along the board. Shannon let it go, and it slides all the way down the ice. And another icing call against Winnipeg with 5:47 remaining in the first.
A little bit of a communications problem there. Shannon had a lot more time, but his teammates, he was right by his own bench, and nobody was yelling to him to say, you've got some time, hold on to that puck. Shannon heard footsteps, and he just rifled it down the ice. The Jets, one of the other things that they need to get in this hockey game, they need to get a couple of breaks. If you go over the series so far, you can't really say that the breaks have gone the way of the Winnipeg Jets. They need to get some production from their grinders or their plumbers. That has not happened. And perhaps it'll take a lucky goal on the power play. They've yet to score a goal that bounces in off a leg or a skate. They need everything going their way because this Red Wings club is performing just exactly like you would have expected them to. This club's, I guess, juggernaut comes to mind. They have all the tools and all the talent necessary to win the whole thing.
Fedosov to Kozlov. Held by Happy Bullen. 5:23 remains. And during the first intermission on Stanley Cup engravings, Dick Irvin Sr. will be featured.
In fact, I think it's Dick Irvin Sr.'s records behind the bench are the only records left that Scotty Bowman has not been able to match. We'll find more about that in our first intermission.
A lot of face-offs taking place in the Winnipeg end of the ice. Tkachuk and Primo line up against each other again. Tkachuk won the last one. They scramble this one. Coffey gets it over to the other side. A weak shot from the point, and again it's held by Happy Bullen. 9-1 the shots on goal favoring Detroit. Now let's join Scott Oak.
All right, Don, I'm with Chris King. Chris, apparently there is some damage. What's the bad news? What can you tell us?
Well, just from past experiences, it's not very good. I did this before in New York, and pretty much the same feeling. The doctors are a little worried that it could be something serious. They're just being careful right now.
Boy, what a tough break. This obviously is not the way you were expecting what could be your final game as a Winnipeg Jet to end.
No, it certainly wasn't expected to be our last game, but hopefully the boys can pull one out.
How did it happen? We got some videotape of the replay.
Well, it just, it was a big hit, and the puck was loose, and we were killing the penalty, and I tried to poke it by Fedorov, and I thought, you get by him, I'm on a breakaway, and I'd have to see the replay, but I think he stuck his leg out, and we just kind of collided legs, and something went pop.
Any idea how long you'll be out for?
No idea.
Not that it matters now.
Well, it does matter, but I really don't know.
All right, is there anything you wanted to say to somebody back in Winnipeg?
Yeah, there's a little girl named Christine. She's in the hospital, had surgery the other day. Kinger says hi, and hope everything's going well.
Thanks for your time, Chris.
Buddy.
Well, Chris King has been such an inspirational leader for the Winnipeg Jets this year, and as captain of this hockey team, he has been very involved in the community. But I'm sure he'll be in the dressing room between periods talking to the players as they come off the ice. Here's Draper working his way in. Primo goes after the puck behind the net. He's bumped there by McIver. He goes down. Dave Manson skates away with it. 4:42 remaining in the first period. Manson tried to flip it high. Here's the lead pass and a breakaway. Cicerelli going in over to Primo. He's denied by Happy Bullen.
What an incredible save by Habby Bullen, the pass across. Looked like Primo had the wide open net staring him, and Habby Bullen just does not quit on the play.
Well, you've made that comment before that Habby Bullen will not quit even when it appears to be most desperate, and that time it certainly appeared he was in a desperate situation, but he took it away from Primo.
Now, one other comment, an inexcusable turnover by Dave Manson in the neutral zone. You can't get cute against the Red Wings. Those pucks have got to go deep.
Shamnov tried to cut around Fedosov, was knocked down. Konstantinov has it. He has Fraser on top of him, but is able to free it. Kozlov streaks down the left side, going in alone. He fired it wide. Habby Bullen stood his ground again. Oh boy, has he put on a goaltending show in this first period.
Well, this has been a clinic for Nikolai Habby Bullen. The Red Wings have dominated play from the start, but Habby Bullen just continues to stand tall. He's keeping his club alive in this series.
I realized I'm a workaholic. I was putting my work before my family. I was missing my kids' childhood. So, I quit my job, and now I'm working at home. And I'll tell you something. I wouldn't miss these years for anything in the world. How you come with those copies, son?
Okay, Daddy.
Staples has everything you need to work out of your home. Guaranteed low prices on over 6,000 items.
Can you collate those for Daddy?
Staples, the best buys in...
At Madison Square Garden, the New York Rangers strike. Canadians on the power play. When Nicholas Sundstrom steals it, feeds Jari Kurri. He is stopped by Thibault, but Sundstrom pounces on the loose puck and makes it 1-0 New York.
Well, here at the Joe Louis Arena, the only reason the Red Wings don't have the lead is the play of Nikolai Habby Bullen. He has been brilliant in this opening period, and if the Jets are going to take this series back to Winnipeg, he will have to continue playing that way. Chuck races after the puck. He's held up by Coffey. Manages to get it, tried to center, and it was blocked. Neverdowski couldn't handle the clearing attempt at the point. Back after it goes Olchek. And at this time, we say hello to viewers who have been watching the game between Montreal and New York here at the Joe Louis Arena. I'm Don Whitman along with Brian Hayward and Scott Oak. No score in the hockey game. It's been all Detroit. And there's Bob Airy with a chance and another big save by Nikolai Habby Bullen. And for those viewers who have just joined us, he has been absolutely brilliant in this opening period.
Habby Bullen has been incredible, and at times he has been doing it all by himself. The Red Wings off of the neutral zone turnovers, attack with speed. Here's the last chance. Keith Primo robbed by Habby Bullen on a 2-on-0 breakaway. Primo yet to score in this series, but you can't put the blame squarely on his shoulders because Habby Bullen has made several highlight film variety saves already. Dave Manson turning that puck over in the neutral zone. It's been a nightmare in this hockey game, at least for Dave Manson.
The Winnipeg Jets had to survive a couple of early penalties. Mike Stapleton and Keith Tkachuk were in the box when the Red Wings were able to generate a fair bit of first period offense. 10-1, the shots on goal favoring the Red Wings. 2:47 remaining in this opening period. 3-1, the Red Wings lead in this series. 11 times in the last 9 years, teams that have been down 3-1 in a series have been able to bounce back, and the Winnipeg Jets are fully aware of teams' ability to come from behind because they lost to Vancouver in '92 when they led 3-1, and 1990 to Edmonton when they led 3-1.
There's Slava Kozlov. You know, he popped off in the paper about how he would beat Nikolai Habby Bullen. He said, give this guy a fake and he'll hit the ground early, and then I'll just walk around him. Well, he couldn't have more time than that one. He put the fake on him. Khabibulin didn't buy it. He just stood his ground, and Kozlov eventually ran out of not only time but space as well.
Kozlov scored a power play goal in Game 4 in Winnipeg. The only goal he has scored so far in the series. Johnson moves it ahead to Lidstrom. He is stopped at the line. Eastwood trying to move the puck past Lidstrom. It comes out to Shane Doan. Doan centering for Shannon. Shannon tried to throw it out front, broken up by Ramsey. Doan gets it in front for Eastwood. And a big save by Chris Osgood. That's his best save of the game.
Really the only difficult save for Chris Osgood so far. We've almost played 18 minutes of this first period, and that's tough for a goaltender to stay ready and stay sharp when you're not getting much work. Good cross-ice pass by Shane Doan, and right on the doorstep, Osgood just comes sliding across. Here it is from the net cam. Watch the push off the right foot. He slams the door and clicks those ankles together and takes away the 5-hole from Mike Eastwood. That's a brilliant save by Osgood. Denies the Jets any kind of momentum.
Well, here in Detroit for the past 48 hours, there has been a lot of discussion about the Red Wing goaltending situation. Chris Osgood played the first 2 games, Mike Vernon the next 2. I really think that was Scotty's plan all along. He felt that the more experienced Vernon would be able to cope with the noisy crowd in Winnipeg better than Chris Osgood.
Well, the other half of that equation as well is the Detroit fans are an awful lot more forgiving with Chris Osgood than they are with Mike Vernon.
Wrap-around attempt stopped by Khabibulin. Konstantinov looks over to the far wing, picked up there by Draper. Draper tried to leave it for Cicerelli. Cicerelli looking back to the point for Fedosov. The puck loose along the boards. Jets still can't get it out. And again, Khabibulin will have to cover it up. Primo was driving hard to the front of the Winnipeg net as Khabibulin held onto the puck with 1:23 remaining in this first period.
Well, Primo's been a tough guy to handle. He just hasn't been able to finish in this series. But he continues to drive to the net. That's exactly what Bowman expects from him. You know, if you think of the Red Wings as a whole, they don't have an awful lot of size up front. So Scotty Bowman puts the extra pressure on McCarty and Primo to be his guys that assume that role. He wants them to back up that Winnipeg defense as much as possible and use those big frames to back everybody off.
Newman gets it in his own zone. Lead pass for Olczyk. Janney couldn't get it past Kozlov. Newman goes back after it. Fedorov is on him very quickly. Now it's Olczyk trying to bank it off the boards for Craig Janney. He comes in with Tkachuk. He stopped at the line, and as it's brought in by Newman, and it's offside Winnipeg. 52.9 seconds left in the period.
Uh-oh. Looks like systems problems. How long before the unit fails?
Who knows? What about the backup? That is the backup. And they make them in Montreal.
UPS early AM service to the States.
Bonjour, Montreal.
Guaranteed overnight from Canada to U.S. business centers before 8 a.m.
You'll have it by 8 tomorrow.
8 a.m.?
Somebody up there likes us.
UPS, moving at the speed of business.
You know, with the snowstorm in Winnipeg, the Jets had some travel problems getting into Detroit, and as a result, didn't have a skate yesterday, and that can work both ways. I think at this juncture of the season, in the playoffs rather, it's not all that important that you do get your practice time in. And I thought that at least at the morning skate today, the Jets appeared to have a little bit more jump in their legs than they have had in the past little while.
Kozlov's shot is blocked, picked up by Fedorov. Looking for Kozlov. Now Fedosov manages to keep it in. He takes a return pass at the point. He's taken in against the boards. Kozlov comes in to help out. Craig Muni has Larionov on him immediately. It seems every time the Winnipeg Jets touch the puck in their own zone, there's a Red Wing jersey there to cover them. Tkachuk trying to get away from Konstantinov, throws it back to the line, nobody in position. Doan couldn't keep it onside. And the final seconds of the period will tick harmlessly away.
Well, it was another dominant performance by the Detroit Red Wings. 7 high-quality scoring chances against Happy Bull and only 1 for Winnipeg. Quiet night for Chris Osgood. He only had to come up with 1 big one. The Jets extremely fortunate that they are still in this hockey game. They've got to get things turned around.
12-3. The Red Wings outshot the Winnipeg Jets in the opening period, but Nikolai Habibulin was standing on his head. And after 20 minutes of play, there's no
score. When it comes to broadleaf weed control, nothing performs like Refine Extra. Refine Extra is easy to handle. It's completely crop safe. And it handles all your broadleaf problems in oats, barley, and wheat, including wild buckwheat. And top growth control with Canada Thistle. Refine Extra. A knock-em-dead performance nothing can match.
Whether you cut your lawn the good old-fashioned way or prefer sitting down on the job, your neighborhood home hardware has all the tools you need to keep your lawn and garden looking great. Just need a trim? This will do very nicely.
Store up to 250 feet of half-inch hose with this leak-proof, rust-free wall mount hose reel from Melnor.
Great price, friendly advice at Home Hardware.
For lawn and garden care, it's
The people of Northwest Airlines are very excited about bringing you expanded service between Canada and the world, offering low fares, convenient schedules, and on-time connections from Canada to hundreds of destinations. Plus, Northwest Airlines Connect First program with free first-class upgrades and 1,000 World Perks bonus miles on qualifying round-trip flights. Come aboard, Canada. You'll see, some people just know how to fly.
Good morning. At Fidelity, we know you have only 24 hours to spend today. No less and no more. We understand there are demands on your time. Some you wish you didn't have. And others you wish you had more time for. That's why we recommend you spend a little time with someone who can spend the time you don't have. An investment professional who can tell you about the 9 million investors in Canada and around the globe who have made Fidelity the biggest mutual fund company in the world. Fidelity, to your investment professional, it's time.
Stanley Cup engravings. Brought to you by Ford Motor Company of Canada Limited. Proud sponsors of the Hockey Hall of Fame and makers of the 1997 F-150. Built for today's driving needs.
Tonight, a coaching legend and the Stanley Cup.
These days, you're working harder than ever. You need a truck that does, too.
Don't move.
Introducing the all-new 1997 Ford F-150. With even more horsepower and torque. And all the legendary strength of an F-Series.
Better get to the Grand Canyon before we do.
The all-new Ford F-150.
Dick Irvin Sr. had his name engraved on the Stanley Cup 4 times as a coach. Once with Toronto in 1932 and 3 times with Montreal, including 1946, Rocket Richard's first Stanley Cup year. Perhaps even more impressive for Irvin are his 77 games in the finals and 32 wins, both NHL records. His 16 appearances in the Stanley Cup finals are 6 more than second-place Scotty Bowman, proving that Dick Irvin Sr. and the Cup go hand in hand.
Stanley Cup engravings. Brought to you by Ford Motor Company of Canada Limited. Proud sponsors of the Hockey Hall of Fame and makers of the 1997 F-150. Built for today's driving needs.
Now, don't ask me why, but Sharon wants to meet you. So once she gets here, just say hello, act normal, then we're out of here.
I can't believe our little Billy has a girlfriend.
Okay, First rule, my name is Bill, and I'm not little.
Bill?
You're not going to wear that.
What?
What's with that hair?
What?
Why is he in a suit?
Uh-huh.
Why did I agree to this? Hi, Sharon. This is my family. Let's go.
Hey, wait. We're just going to McDonald's. Maybe they'd like to come with us.
McDonald's? Yeah, that's okay with you, Bill.
Life's complicated. Keep it simple. Clear your mind. Set it off.
Gillette's revolutionary clear gel antiperspirant. Not a stick, a soft gel that goes through underarm hair to the skin surface where wetness begins. For powerful protection, Gillette Clear Gel Antiperspirant.
If Canada's deciding it wants to have a perception of me, I'm the daughter of Peter and Gail. They just live next door to everybody else, and I just go out and I do my thing. And I come home, and Peter and Gail are just proud of me. And I think I like the idea of the perceptions of me. I just want the way my friends see me. They know I work hard, and when they need to count on me, they can.
Canada is the story of a country.
Good evening. More
And each night, the story unfolds anew
very difficult debate.
And on our magazine,
in the expression of ideas,
the sense of home.
With more on the story, we go to Calgary.
in the experience of people,
The people of Yarmouth argued.
in the place we call home.
CBC News.
St. John,
Quebec City.
Ottawa, Edmonton.
Vancouver.
Peter Mansbridge and Hannah Gartner. The National on CBC.
Here's Chris Draper with 2 goals so far in this series, but boy, they're hard to come by tonight. How much has Nikolai Habibulin frustrated you?
Well, we're staying patient. We're not getting frustrated. We had some really good opportunities on our power play and even strength, but he's been doing it all series for their hockey club. So we realized that in order for us to get some goals, we got to keep going to the net and maybe bury some rebounds and look for an ugly one or something.
Now, you could build a highlight film on his first period performance alone. When you get performance like that after 20 minutes, you start to wonder what you have to do to beat him.
No, not really. He has the same goal that we scored 6 goals on last game, so he's only human. Sooner or later, there's got to be a goal that drops for us. So we just got to keep shooting the puck, and hopefully something's going to go in for us sooner or later.
How much would it mean to the Wings to end the series tonight and get a rest?
It would mean a lot. That's what you want to do whenever you have a chance to eliminate another team. You want to go for it. You want to bury them when you can. So we're doing everything we can tonight, but Habibulin's doing everything not to let that happen. So we'll see what happens in 40 more minutes, anyways.
Chris, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
So we're scoreless after the first period of Game 5 between the Jets and the Wings. The Stanley Cup playoffs on Molson Hockey Night in Canada will continue.
This Saturday's Lotto 649 jackpot is over $10 million. Just imagine the freedom. Just imagine winning over $10 million.
The Plus. More winners than prairies have gophers. Well, almost. With over 200,000 winners every week, shouldn't you play the Plus?
Buying or selling a home can be a tough climb, but a realtor can make it easier. When you're dealing with one of life's most important decisions, deal with a pro, a professional realtor. It's well worth it.
What do the community newspapers have for you?
Nobody covers kids' sports like the Herald.
Before I do my grocery list, I check the Metro for the best buys. And the coupons are a great value.
I want to know what's happening in my neighborhood. The coverage of local politics in the Lance gives me that.
I'm definitely a comparison shopper. The Times tells me where the deals are.
For the news that happens right outside your door, turn to Winnipeg's community newspapers. There's something for everyone.
Back at the Broadcast Center in Toronto, we welcome viewers of Detroit and Winnipeg scoreless at the end of a period of play, and it's the Habibulin Show. Actually, you know what caught your eye was Osgood's save late in that period.
Well, there's nothing worse for a goaltender to go through a period when they're out shooting the opposition 10-1 and then have a great scoring chance against, after you've been sitting on the bench for 2 games and everybody thinks that the coach is playing mind games with you, and then come up with a thrilling save like that at the end is terrific.
What would you possibly know about standing there and not getting many shots?
I haven't been in that situation in a long time, a lot of years.
We were all excited. I should rephrase this. We weren't excited, but Brian Leach got corked in the game in Montreal, New York, and he's A-OK. Looked like a shoulder injury, and we're thankful for that because they're really banged up. And Kovalev left the game, and he's okay. But one injury note for Toronto fans. Matt Sundin has a partial tear of his ACL. He will go and skate tomorrow in St. Louis, but will not play in Game 6 Saturday night. Now, on to our game. Habby Boulin.
Locked up on him.
Yes, locked up. Grape said. You know, and that can happen. It's an easy thing. Snap. There you go. Habby Boulin, you want to show how he's contending with more than pucks.
Right. Brian Hayward mentioned in the broadcast that Habby Boulin is facing a lot of traffic in front. I know Detroit has mentioned that a number of times, and watch this play right here. Konstantinov, how many times have we seen this? And recently Grant Fuhr was injured like that, and I was hoping things like that would stop. We need a guy like Habby Boulin in the league, and hate to be awfully critical of the refereeing, but that is a injury waiting to happen.
Konstantinov's not known to be, oh, never mind. You know, that was a tough break on Tkachuk on the interference call, too, because that might have put the Jets home and cool. In fact, they didn't get any breaks. Winnipeg, and they're still scoreless. What about Sergei Fedorov? He's just a dominant player, as we know.
He is obviously one of my favorite. Not only do I like talented players, but I love talented players that work both ends of the ice. And I don't think I'm going out on a limb by saying that he is definitely within the top 5 talent-wise. And we all knew last year when we went on the Wayne Gretzky tour overseas, and you were with us, Ron, and we all knew he was talented. Yes, I'll just remind you again. But we were all absolutely amazed by his physical presence out there, and he hits hard, and he's willing to go in the corners, and we've seen him create lots of scoring opportunities also by going in the corners and being tough.
Chris King knows all about that, as we've seen. Well, at Madison Square Garden, New York, it's 1-0 the Rangers. Apparently, they've now given the goal to Yari Curry. Let's go for the story now to Dick Irvin and Greg Millen.
We welcome those of you who've been watching the Red Wings and the Winnipeg Jets in that game being played in Detroit. I'm Dick Irvin with Greg Millen and Scott Russell here at Madison Square Garden in New York. The Canadians and the Rangers have played a minute 52 of the second period. New York leads 1-0 on a shorthanded goal by Yari Curry. Greg, a bit of a recap for the folks just tuning in on the hockey game.
I'm going to show you a wraparound chance. You look at Mike Richter. Boy, what tremendous flexibility. Both pads are on the goalpost from post to post, and he's very, very strong down low when he gets in that position. There's really no place for the forward to go. He has to get it up high over Mike Richter, but it's very difficult for a forward to get the leverage he needs on that play.
You know, Richter had the groin injury that kept him out for so long. He injured it twice. Here's a good quote from your friend Colin Campbell, Greg, about Game 7, Game 5, whatever.
Well, particularly there's more urgency at home in a Game 5 because it's a game you must win because you're going to the other team's building down if you don't. Earlier on in the second period here, there was a 2-on-1, Mark Messier to Verbeek, and we've mentioned all along that Pat Verbeek's timing is just a little bit off because he was hurt late in the year, and I feel that was a good example of it there. Messier set him up beautifully, and Verbeek once again just couldn't quite get there and complete the play. Well, I must say, in all my years of playing goal, I never trusted a defenseman to stone my skates. I'd go over to the trainer and find a way. And yeah, maybe I do it myself on occasion, but I try and make an excuse to get over to the penalty box to help to get the trainer to do it.
Perfect. Now that I think Mike's ready, we have to take a break. Lots of excitement there at Madison Square Garden, New York, but obviously throughout the night, you'll be apprised of the series between the Rangers and the Canadians. Scoreless in Detroit on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
Imagine hearing the call of the road, not the road itself. Imagine the world at your fingertips. Imagine an automobile so precisely engineered, it feels as if it were formed from a single piece of steel. Imagine a choice of sedan or wagon for the same price. Introducing the all-new 1996 Mercury Sable. Could you imagine anything better?
Imagine yourself in a Mercury.
Introducing the Gold Digger by Garden Claw. The patented Gold Digger has 3 heads for planting, edging, weeding and lawn repair. The bulb planter digs a perfect hole without back-breaking effort. Push the plunger to eject the soil. Great for spring bulbs and annuals. The Gold Digger Serrated Edger gives your yard that professional look. The Weeder makes weed and crabgrass removal easy. Add a plug of grass for quick rejuvenation. The Gold Digger.
Available at Canadian Tire, Sears, Kmart, and Zellers. Makes a great gift.
Some Canadians think of True Value as their locally owned neighborhood store. Truth is, we're part of 6,000 stores worldwide dedicated to value. Here's proof. The Black & Decker Space Maker Optimus Series. The can opener hides away, coffee maker's ready when you are, and the toaster's extra long and wide. Save $40 on this VS of 40,000 BTU barbecue, large cooking area, 2 side shelves, and propane tank. $199.97. True Value. The friendliness of a neighbor. The strength of a chain.
This portion of Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC is brought to you by Ford Motor Company of Canada Limited and by Pepsi. Nothing else is a Pepsi.
Tonight's game is the third time in the series that the Wings have failed to score in the opening period, but it hasn't been for a lack of trying.
No question about that. This has been the Nikolai Habibulin show so far, and more than anyone else, I'd have to say that big Keith Primo must be the Red Wing player who is shaking his head the most in between periods here. Here, Habibulin point blank. Primo just has to get that puck up. Another example of the Red Wings jumping in on top of Nikolai Habibulin. Stops Primo. Then later on, Bob Airey is going to get an opportunity. Look at that feed by Yzerman. Habibulin just gets the right toe on that puck at the last second, does a good job covering up on the rebound. And the opportunities just continue for the Red Wings. Primo, 2-on-0 breakaway this time, and that is just a brilliant save. Gets a piece of that puck with the blocker and puts it out of play. And perhaps the best chance for the Red Wings, Kozlov. Look at the time he has. He's almost stopped in front of the goal crease. Habibulin shows tremendous patience and just simply outweights him. Chris Osgood did not have much to do. One good chance for the Winnipeg Jets. It was Mike Eastwood on the doorstep. Osgood shows terrific lateral movement and the ability to close up that 5-hole.
With that lateral movement, is that looking like a guy who is suffering from an abdominal pull?
We're going to get back to that, are we? Well, that was the excuse, of course, for Scotty Bowman not to play Osgood in games 3 and 4. The goaltending has been perfect so far tonight. Nikolai Habibulin's concentration is superior. You know, at times in Game 4, he did look human on a couple of those Detroit games. He has bounced back.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets have to be pleased that they were able to survive the opening period, but now they have to be able to generate some offense of their own. They only had 3 shots on goal in the opening period.
You can see they need to start attacking with speed. It's something that they've been able to do against Habibulin all night long. Detroit, certainly. Winnipeg has to go the other direction, however.
Of the Wings' 13 shots, Dino Ciccarelli had 4. Airey and Konstantinov and Coffey each had 2. The Winnipeg Jets' best scoring chance belonged to Mike Eastwood on the centering pass from rookie Shane Doan, but late in the period, Chris Osgood was able to come up with the big pad save.
You know, to a man, the Red Wings players said that the most difficult game to win in this series would be the clinching game. Although they put together a terrific first 20 minutes, here they are after one period, all tied up. Terry Simpson, with the loss of Steve King, even has to shorten that bench of his a little bit more than he did in the first. There were a lot of players, a lot of bodies on that Winnipeg bench that never stepped on the ice. Certainly, Chris King is out. Chad Kilger did not see a lot of ice time, nor did Shane Doan or Ian Fraser in the first 20. We'll watch for that as this game unfolds.
Kachuk is after Konstantinov. Puck is left there for Fedosov as he tried to make the play. It slides all the way down the ice. Habibulin is back to play it. And he has Fedorov throwing some ice chips in his face as he goes well out of the net to freeze the puck and gets a shower of snow.
And Habibulin very fortunate that Marwelli does not call a delay a game penalty, and I think Marwelli's providing the explanation right here. The time used to be that a goaltender was not allowed to freeze that puck if he didn't have 1 foot in the goal crease, and I think this is one of those situations where the Russian goalie gets the benefit of the doubt from the officials. He's well out beyond the face-off dot. That perhaps should have been a call by Merwelli. He's cutting him a huge break here.
You had an interesting first period stat about the number of face-offs in the Winnipeg zone as opposed to the Detroit end of the ice.
Well, it is one indication of territorial advantage. There were 17 face-offs in the Winnipeg defensive zone, only one Detroit's end of the rink.
There's another in the Winnipeg zone. Coffey from the point, his shot right on. And now Newmanen gathers it up. And Newmanen is knocked down by McCarty. It appears as though the Red Wings are intent on finishing every check on Teppo Newmanen. Jamnov leaves it back of the net. Back after it goes Bergevin. McCarty works his way in against Manson. The puck slides to the corner. McIver goes in after it. He's taken in against the end board. Picked up now by Korolev. He throws it rink wide in his own zone. Manson can't get it out. Back of the net. Yzerman is checked. Puck comes loose along the boards, and the Jets start away, led by Jamnov. Jamnov gains the line. Drop pass. McIver shot right on, and that's held by goaltender Chris Osgood.
Again, the Red Wings doing a tremendous job of holding that blue line. They don't back in on Chris Osgood, and as a result, when the Jets do unload that puck, it's from well out, and Osgood can usually see it as well. And Jamnov, who was a force in games 1, 2, or 3, had a quiet game 4, is really yet to get on track. Now he's got himself a new winger with the absence of Chris King.
Nicholas Lidstrom had a career-high 67 points, 37 points on the power play for the Red Wings. He has 3 assists so far in this series.
With another point shot through traffic. You see Newmanen takes a wave at that puck. Goaltenders don't like that. The point shots, they'd rather you get the heck out of the way so that you can see it, make the routine save look routine.
Jets make a change back in the blue line from the faceoff. Tverdovsky attempted to jump up into the play, but the Red Wings are able to drive it out. Now it's Janney trying to set up Keith Tkachuk, broken up by the wings. Draper gets to the line. He's stopped there by Craig Muni. Tkachuk takes Lidstrom in against the boards. Lidstrom continues to battle for the loose puck. It comes free to Olczyk. Olczyk is hammered by Mike Ramsey as Draper goes back to pick up the loose puck. Over to Primo on the fly, trying to work through the slot. Lost control of it. Picked up by Draper. Draper was checked by Tkachuk, and Tkachuk trying to dump it out, put it out of play in the neutral zone. Draper got tangled up there with Mike Eastwood, and Eastwood went down. No penalty call on the play. The face-off back in the Winnipeg zone.
Scotty Bowman has got to be awfully pleased with the way his team has performed. You mentioned they haven't missed too many checks out there on the ice. That time you saw Mike Ramsey really step up it. But it's that ability of the Red Wing defense to step up and force the issue in the neutral zone that makes life a lot easier in the defensive zone. Quite simply, the Jets aren't spending any time there. Look at the ice time. It's significant in that Teppo Newmanen played over half of that first period, but you can't really remember too many plays that Newmanen was all that involved in it. And part of that is the fact that Newmanen has not joined in the offensive attack, and you've got to give an awful lot of the credit to the Red Wings for that. No question he's been targeted in this series.
We've played 2 minutes of the second period. Doan steals the puck, can't go anywhere with it. It would have been offside anyway. Doan played the game on Tuesday night in Winnipeg, then made a quick trip home. Death in the family. His grandfather passed away, and he rejoined the team yesterday in Detroit. The Jets had not scheduled to skate on Wednesday because of their travel delay yesterday. They did not get here till late in the afternoon. They decided to pass in the practice. Terry Simpson, in talking about the 2 days off the ice, said sometimes it can work to your advantage.
Well, I think it definitely can, and especially when you throw playoff pressure into the mix. Sometimes it's just good to get away from the game, and dare I say it, Don, but get away from the media as well.
Konstantinov flips it high off the glass in Winnipeg territory. Larionov is in forechecking. Puck goes back to the net, taken there by Newmanen. Newmanen whips it off the glass down the ice. Racing back after it is Konstantinov. He gets there ahead of Jamnov. Konstantinov over to Fedorov. Fedorov has played a physical hockey game tonight. He's dished out a couple of solid body checks, one on Newmanen, and his hit on Chris King put the Winnipeg captain out of the hockey game. Now Newmanen looking down the left side for Fraser. It was beyond him. Fraser goes after it, taken in against the boards by Konstantinov, and now the Red Wings cough it up. A pass for Fraser. He tried to get it back for Zhamnov, and it was intercepted, and the Wings start back. Fedorov breaking down the right side, going hard to the net. He's taken out of the play by Newmanen, and the puck comes out to center ice. Banked off the boards for Korolev. Racing up is Finlay. Korolev shoots. The rebound picked up in the corner by Bergevin, and the Jets have shown a little more offense here in this second period.
Well, this game in general has just opened right up. Both clubs skating the full length of the ice with plenty of room to the neutral zone.
Kozlov back of the net. Two players out front, but it bounced away from Larionov, and it's dumped down the ice by Winnipeg. Eastwood gets the loose puck, and that was blocked before it got to the net. Doan keeps it onside. Behind the net goes Shannon. Shannon throwing it into the crease. Kicked away by Osgood, and the Wings break out. 16-13 remaining in the second period. Still no score in the hockey game. McIver bumps with Coffey. Bergevin from the point has his shot blocked. And the Jets break out 3-on-2. Three Red Wings trying to get back into the play. It's left there for Mike Eastwood. He flips a backhander, gets it again. Now it's Shannon with a shot. He scores! Darren Shannon has given the Jets a 1-0 lead. The persistence of Mike Eastwood and Shane Doan is rewarded as the puck came free to Darren Shannon for a 1-0 lead.
Now what a huge goal for the Winnipeg Jets. And they get the turnover in the Detroit defensive zone that they have been trying to force. They came out in this second period, Don. They started to lay the body on. When you lay the body on, sometimes you do get that turnover. It's exactly what happened. Shannon's first goal of the postseason for Winnipeg. Let's see how it works. It's Paul Coffey handling the puck. The pressure from Mike Eastwood. Eastwood just kind of forces that puck into the middle of the ice. And it's a good, quick shot. Darren Shannon on the short side. Perfect shot, about 1.5 feet off the post and in.
And after making the play, Eastwood also did a good job of going to the net to screen Chris Osgood. 15:42 remaining in the second period. Darren Shannon has staked Winnipeg to a 1-goal lead.
Hell is a world where you have no home. And even though I was in heaven, something drew me back to my home. I can't put into words the things I've seen, the places I've been, or what it all means. Because it's not so much what you look at, but when you look, what you see. And now I see that my eyes are the eyes of the world. In my eyes, I am.
Who's got the most wicked deals on wheels? Park Pontiac's got it. Catch the excitement. Right now, we've got the largest inventory of Sunfires ever. And more selection means you get the most competitive prices.
You got it, Park Pontiac.
Wicked.
When morning breaks, there are news stories to be told and issues to understand. Only one radio program delivers the news and more you need when you wake up. Information Radio 990. Miss a morning, miss a...
Darren Shannon from Eastwood at 4:09, the time of the Winnipeg goal.
What you'd probably slot in is the third line for the Winnipeg Jets. They forced the turnover. Coffey pops it up right in the slot area, and Shannon makes no mistake. Good quick shot.
Ramsey moves it along the boards for McCarty. He knocks it ahead. Here's Yzerman trying to break in. Yzerman is hauled down. Penalty against the Winnipeg Jets.
Well, this one's going to go against Craig Muni. Muni not blessed with an awful lot of speed. And Yzerman, right up through the center of the ice, gets a good pass. I don't think Muni has much choice but to pull Yzerman down in that situation. The other factor, of course, is that Oleg Tverdovsky, who does possess the good wheels, perhaps had the angle on Yzerman. And I still believe that Oleg Tverdovsky, who does not say an awful lot of things out on the ice in terms of communicating with his defense partner, perhaps if he had given the yell to Craig Muni, Muni would have relaxed a little bit on the hook, and Oleg might have been able to get to him.
I talked with Steve Yzerman this morning about possible participation in this summer's World Cup. He's still undecided. I think the fact that he was dropped from the team in 2 previous Canada Cup experiences might be influencing his thinking somewhat.
Well, I would guess so. You said it, Don. Not once, but twice. That's got to leave a bit of a bad taste in your mouth. But it's going to be a long season for the Red Wings, as everybody suspects, so I'm sure he'll wait to make any decision until the playoffs for the Red Wings are over.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets would like to make it a short season for the Red Wings, and at the moment they lead by a score of 1-0. Red Wings on the power play. They had 4 power play goals in Game 4, tying a club record. Here's a chance now for the Winnipeg Jets as the play was broken up by Zhamnov at the blue line. Fedorov is forced to circle back. He gets it over to Coffey. Coffey almost had it picked off. Fedorov was in the process of retrieving his gloves, and Zhamnov almost knocked it past him. Cicerelli, who led the team in shots in the first period before, dumps it to the corner. Yzerman goes back to the net, tried to get it to Cicerelli, and it was broken up neatly by Numminen. 1:14 remaining in the penalty to Craig Muni. Paul Coffey stopped by Tempo Numminen. Shannon, who had scored the game's only goal in a battle along the boards. It comes free to Fedorov. He fakes the shot. Now it's picked up by Numminen. Numminen couldn't clear. But Darren Shannon will get an opportunity. He banks it off the board. Stapleton is racing after it. Stapleton goes back to the net. He didn't realize Tverdovsky was in position right in the goal crease. Boy, if he'd have thrown that one out front immediately, Tverdovsky was uncovered.
And I think Stapleton was a little bit surprised to see Oleg Tverdovsky jumping up in the play in the shorthanded situation. He made his mind up or made his decision what to do with his puck rather than evaluate the play.
Kozlov has it. Fedorov moves it across ice. Here's a shot through traffic that is handled by Happy Bullen. Winnipeg Jets gain control, but they can't get it out. They'll get another chance. Tverdovsky couldn't knock it past Fedorov. Fedorov has had another strong game. Shot from the point, redirected. They bang away loose in front of the net. It's kicked out of the goal. Oh, what a good play by Zhamnov as that puck appeared to be heading for the line, and he kept it out. Winnipeg Jets back at full strength as Muni steps out of the penalty box. There's a shot off the side of the net.
Happy Bullen again, absolutely fantastic, and I think Marwelli has got to do something because the Red Wing forwards are just hanging all over Nikolai.
Stapleton takes it to safety behind his own net. Now he tries to ring it around the boards, and this time he succeeds in getting it out as the Jets make a complete change. Here's the lead pass for Brown. Stopped by Happy Bullen. And the Winnipeg net comes off its support.
Whatever you want on the side, as long as you have these 3 letters on the front. Sierra, 365 days a year.
The people of Northwest Airlines are very excited about bringing you expanded service between Canada and the world, offering low fares, convenient schedules, and on-time connections from Canada to hundreds of destinations. Plus, Northwest Airlines Connect First program with free first-class upgrades and 1,000 World Perks bonus miles on qualifying round-trip flights. Come aboard, Canada. You'll see, some people just know how to fly.
Well, Nikolai Happy Bullen has faced 5 shots in this second period, and he'll be pressured again as Keith Tkachuk has drawn a cross-checking penalty at 7:08.
Well, look at the special attention played down low. Happy Bullen actually gets a piece of that rebound. And then again, there's a Red Wing body knocked right on top of Happy Bullen. It's a war zone down there. Here's the breakaway save on Doug Brown. This is an interesting play because Happy Bullen actually slides in beyond the goal line, but you can see the net clearly was knocked off its moorings prior to the goalkeeper and the puck crossing the line.
Keith Tkachuk for the second time in the penalty box.
There's a save. And there, look at that. There's no question where Doug Brown is going on that play. He's making a beeline right at the goaltender. Actually, it was Greg Johnson. Just piled onto the top of Habby Boulin. The Red Wings almost tied this hockey game.
That was the play before the Brown breakaway. Lidstrom calls for the puck. All sorts of traffic again in front of Habby Boulin. That's Cicerelli trying to set up shop. Yzerman works his way to the corner. And there's going to be another Winnipeg penalty. I think Stapleton is getting it. Lidstrom shoots. Rebound steered wide. At the side of the net, it's fired wide. Finally, it's touched by Newman, and the whistle goes. And with 1:22 remaining in the Tkachuk penalty, Mike Stapleton is, I believe, heading off to the penalty box. Or is he?
It's going to be a high sticking call against someone. You saw Morelli go over and check Steve Yzerman to see if he was cut. Yzerman lobbying for more than just a 2-minute minor penalty. That's why the Red Wings were just trying to throw that puck into the crease area. They wanted the Jets to touch it. They also got a couple of pretty good scoring opportunities. You see Yzerman goes to the towel. There does appear to be a little bit of blood, and that's what Morelli is suggesting to Ed Olchuk and Sergei
It is a 5-minute penalty.
Boy, oh boy, 5-minute major penalty levied against Stapleton. Terry Simpson cannot believe it.
So for 1:22, the Wings will have a 2-man advantage. So with Stapleton gone, Chris King hurt in the first period, the Jets are down to a very short bench.
You know, the whole other issue here, you know, I don't think a guy, when he gets a 5-minute major penalty called against someone, I don't think he should be able to stay on the ice for the next shift. Yzerman's out there to exploit the 5-on-3 opportunity, and he doesn't miss a shift. Sure, yes, he's cut. I think that's something that the league has to take a look at some point.
Well, he does have a pretty good gash, it would appear, on his upper lip. Chad Kilger will serve the penalty assessed against Mike Stapleton. Boy, the Winnipeg Jets and Nikolai Habby-Boulin will really be under pressure now.
We're going to get a chance to see it right here. Take a look at the very top of your screen. Yzerman handling the puck, and there's where he gets clipped by Stapleton. It's a call, I guess, that Morelli has to make. I always wonder about that. Why is it so important that there be blood drawn? I mean, you've seen a lot more vicious high sticks where there is no blood. It's a 2-minute minor penalty for high stick.
Puck along the boards in the Winnipeg zone. Yzerman working against Newman. He rips it around the boards. Lidstrom moves in. Now gives to Yzerman. Over to Fedorov at the side of the net. Larionov trying to set it up. 5 against 3. Here's Fedorov with the shot. It goes wide. Lidstrom at the point. Over to Fedorov. Fedorov into Yzerman. Back to Lidstrom. He one-times at the save made, and the puck knocked down the ice by Zhamnov. 40 seconds in the 2-man advantage. Larionov now for Lidstrom. Lidstrom throws it in. Off the end boards, picked up by Larionov. Larionov back to Fedorov. Over to Lidstrom. Back to Fedorov. His shot goes off Zhamnov's leg, and Zhamnov felt that one. Now it's Fedorov from the point to Lidstrom. He faked the shot. In front. They score! Deflected by Cicerelli.
Shown by the Red Wings in the 5-on-3 situation, and fatigue will play a factor in this goal. Watch Jeff Finley. He's going to leave his feet when he goes down. The Red Wings just moved that puck around, and that's why Cicerelli is so wide open in front of the goal. The Cardinals in for the penalty killers in the 5-on-3 to leave their feet unless that puck is being shot from directly in the slot area. Finley gets drawn out of position, and the Jets get beaten on the pass. Dino Cicerelli just taps that puck between the pads of Nikolai Habibulin.
And the crowd at the Joe Loup is now into it with the power play goal by Dino Cicerelli. That's his 30th postseason goal on the power play. Only Mike Bossy and Wayne Gretzky have ever scored more with the man advantage.
You know, Cicerelli uncharacteristically was staying well out in front of that goal crease. The Red Wings very aware that Merwelli would love to call a penalty against Detroit in this situation. The bad news for Winnipeg, however, 3 minutes and 49 seconds remaining on the 5-minute major assessed against Stapleton. So the Jets have got to quickly snap back to reality. Terry Simpson looks at his bench. His penalty killers have already spent so much time on the ice. Clearly, fatigue becoming a huge factor. You want to believe it was a very good thing that this club didn't have to practice yesterday. Take one more look at that goal. You see Finley leads his feet. You got two white jerseys down surrounding the crease area. And Yzerman just casually drills that pass across. Cicerelli taps it behind the goalkeeper.
Well, the Red Wings have not been shut out this year, and that trend will continue. On the power play, the Red Wings scoring their 7th of this series, and they still have 3:49 remaining in the 5-minute major to Mike Stapleton. I think that was about a 10 octopus goal for Dino Cicerelli, but some other debris was also thrown out on the ice, and that is taking additional time to clean up.
Red Wings PR department right on top of things. They answered our questions. What category would you fit the octopi into? It's a mollusk, after all, Whitney.
11:03 remaining in the second period.
Well done, and Brian, here's a player known for his mollusk, Francois Leroux, or that muscle, I guess it is. Anyway, quick release from Nedved and Lauer, and the Penguins now lead the Capitals 2-0 in the second period at the Igloo.
Well, there's one of the octopi that was tossed out onto the playing surface. One of the firms that supplies octopus in the Detroit area was bringing in about 6,000 pounds in anticipation of a long playoff run here at the Joe Loup.
Well, that really excites the maintenance crew to hear that. You know, again, you talk about this, and it really does kill a little bit of momentum for the Red Wings. I don't think Scotty Bowman likes it very much.
Canadian Tire has great prices on everything you need. Plus, earn Canadian Tire money with every cash purchase of merchandise. Canadian Tire. Everyday low prices made better.
Cicerelli's second from Yzerman and Lidstrom at 8:57, tying the game at 1. Now, the time it took to clean up the ice enabled the Winnipeg penalty killers to get a breather.
Certainly Terry Simpson won't be too upset with those kind of delays. More upset right now with the number of penalties levied against his team compared against the Detroit Red Wings.
Red Wings with the man advantage. Larionov gained the line, but it was offside. Yzerman coming down the left wing was slightly ahead of the play. Larionov really had a strong game in Game 4 in Winnipeg.
Well, Larionov, again, one of the most intelligent hockey players you'll ever see. In fact, Paul Coffey said this year, you know, I've played with both Gretzky and Larionov, and they really are so similar, not only in size and stature, but the way that they skate and handle the puck. They have that ability to think 1 or 2 steps ahead of the play, almost like a good billiard player. Have that sixth sense about them. Can control the tempo of a hockey game.
He's got the puck now. He leaves it there for Fedorov. Yzerman gets it back to the line. Lidstrom takes a shot right on. Darren Shannon takes his time. Now he drives it down the ice with 3:06 remaining in the 5-minute major. Fedorov is back after. And Jamnoff will take his time before dumping it down the ice.
Kind of surprised with Cicerelli. Everyone knows he's got that broken nose, and he's spending so much time in front of that crease area that somebody hasn't taken a swat at him yet.
I think someone early might have put their face into the, or glove into the face of Dino Cicerelli. Cicerelli in the corner, comes up with it. He moves it back to the line. Fedorov across to the other side. Fedosov with a shot, rebound, and that's cleared by Jamnoff. Jamnoff's doing an excellent job in the penalty killing role.
He certainly is, but it's not the role that Simpson really wants him to excel at. Remarkable play down low as well by Teppo Numminen, doing a good job protecting the front of the crease area.
The long shoot-in is held by Habibulin with 2:02 remaining in the 5-minute major.
You know, Numminen is a guy, it looks to me like he doesn't have a lot left in those legs. Terry Simpson again forced into a position where he has to use Numminen in the penalty killing role. And of course that just gasses him and makes him so much more ineffective the opposite end of the rink. But the unfortunate thing for Simpson is he really doesn't have any other options at this point. Here's Dino's work down in front of that crease area. One of the things that's very effective, see what Dino does? He keeps his feet in the crease area until the critical moment when he moves back out in front of the net. And what that does is it actually forces the goaltender to back up just a half step.
Fedosov now dishes it off to Kozlov. This time it's Primo setting up shop in front of the net. The Winnipeg Jets' Darren Shannon is able to clear. Jets were unable to survive the two-man disadvantage. Now they're attempting to kill off the 5-minute major to Mike Stapleton. McCarty rings it around the boards. Kozlov is checked. Who gets the puck? Takes a return pass. Looks towards the front of the net. Primo trying to jam away. The puck is loose, and Habibulin dives on top of it.
Keith Primo again with that big reach of his. He gets his body set up in front of the goaltender, but he can still control passes that are a good 5 to 7 feet away from his body, and he's such a strong guy that he quickly can pull it right into the crease area. Look again, you see 2 white jerseys down in front of Habibulin and only 1 Winnipeg defender, because the Jets get set up in that diamond box. Only 1 player down in the crease area. The reason why they're trying to do that is to keep the point shots from being so accessible to the Red Wings. When you do that, the front of the net becomes a little bit more vulnerable for that quick pass down low.
1:22 left in the 5-minute major. Puck is caught up in skates. Jamnoff now gets it over to Teppo Numminen. He's going to log an awful lot of ice time tonight.
He already has. Newman's got to be well over 20 minutes so far. He's really halfway through the game.
Fedorov has also logged a lot of ice time, but in an offensive capacity. Here's Larionov now trying to set it up back to the line. Fedorov being watched by Jamnoff, forced to dump it in. Larionov to Yzerman. Yzerman gets it back to the line. Fedorov's one-timer goes off the skate. Picked up in the corner by Cicerelli. For Larionov out front. Yzerman couldn't get a shot away. Jets unable to clear. Lidstrom with a shot. That hit the post. In the slot. Shot by Yzerman. Kicked out by Habibulin. Now here's Lidstrom. Sliding it into the corner to Yzerman. Yzerman looks in front for Cicerelli. Yzerman centered it. Saved by Habibulin as it came right through to Larionov. 15 seconds remaining in the Stapleton Major.
You know, you have to admire the puck control of that Detroit power play. They're so patient with it. They got 5 gifted puck handlers all with their heads up and just waiting for those seams to open up for the cross-ice pass, and then bang, all of a sudden they bring it right down into the crease area.
Stolen at center ice by Shannon. Gilger out of the penalty box. He had been serving the 5-minute major. This could give the Jets a huge lift, the fact that they were able to kill this 5-minute major. Now it's Tkachuk. Trying to slide it back to the point, and it went between the 2 defensemen all the way down the ice. Laid around the boards by Habibulin, cut off by Taylor. Back to the net for Brown. Centering attempt. Picked up by Olczyk. He tries to ring it around the other way, and it comes off the back of the net to Manson. Manson moves it ahead to Olczyk. He flips it through to Janney. Back to Olczyk. His shot goes wide. Olczyk knocked down in front of the net, and there's going to be a Red Wing penalty. So the Winnipeg Jets will have a power play with 6:26 remaining in the second.
The all-new Mazda MPV, the only sport utility van for those who play more than video games. V6, ABS, dual airbags, available four-wheel drive. MPV. Now, with the convenience of four swing outdoors, the all-new MPV.
Now, don't ask me why, but Sharon wants to meet you. So once she gets here, just say hello, act normal, then we're out of here.
I can't believe our little Billy has a girlfriend.
Okay, first rule, my name is Bill, and I'm not little.
Bill?
You're not going to wear that.
What?
What's with that hair?
What?
Why is he in a suit?
Cool, huh?
Why did I agree to this? Hi, Sharon. This is my family. Let's go.
Hey, wait. We're just going to McDonald's. Maybe they'd like to come with us. McDonald's? Yeah. That's okay with you, Bill.
At the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, Penguins get a break. Brian Smolinski banks it off of Cole Ziganin. Roche gets the assist. Now 3-0. Pittsburgh leading the Capitals at home.
And here it's 1-1 with Fedosov going to the penalty box for interference at 13:34.
Well, watch Fedosov right here. He's just kind of in the area. Nobody really touches Eddie Olczyk. He just kind of slew-foots himself. Morelli makes the even-up call.
McIver from the point. Over to Zhamnov. Zhamnov shoots, looking for the short side. Puck loose along the boards. Tkachuk fights for it. Manages to free it for Zhamnov. Zhamnov back to the point. McIver over to Newmanen. Back to McIver. Zhamnov to McIver. McIver fakes the shot over to Newmanen. McIver at the point. Faked it. Now in deep for Janney. Back to Newmanen. To the point to McIver. Good puck movement. No shots. There's one. It goes wide. Now it's Zhamnov moving in. Takes his time. Throws it in front of the net, and it bounces off the leg out into the neutral zone.
You know, I'm watching the work of Mike Ramsey down in front of Chris Osgood. Tkachuk is just screaming at Morelli. Ramsey had a better hold on that hockey stick of Tkachuk than I think the Jets captain did.
Left back of the net, but Ramsey rings it around the boards. Cut off by Tverdovsky. For Zhamnov. He couldn't control it, and it slipped down the ice by the wing. 52 seconds remaining in the penalty. 5:15 left in the period. Red Wings in forecheck. Manson gets it across to Korolev. He almost lost it under pressure from Fedorov. Now it's Olczyk dumping it down the ice. Osgood plays it around the other way. Picked up by the wings, and Brown will clear.
You talk about dumping the puck and what Terry Simpson would like his players to do, especially on the power play. He would prefer that they rim that puck in hard around the boards and get two guys going down the opposite side to recover it.
Stone races after it. Korolev goes into the corner against Lidstrom. Jets gain control. Olczyk attempted to center, got it back again. Korolev leaves it in the corner for Dome. 3 seconds remaining on the Winnipeg power play. Centered by Winnipeg, but it's intercepted. Fedosov is back on the ice. And now it's dumped in by Taylor with 4:18 remaining in the second.
Winnipeg gets the puck in a good position behind the Detroit net, but they got no people in front of the goal.
Primo works his way to the corner. Leaves it back to the net for Yzerman to McCarty. McCarty taken off the play by Dave Manson. Tverdovsky picks it up, and the Winnipeg net was dislodged with 3:58 remaining in the second period and 1-1 tie.
There's something new coming to Dodge Country. Introducing the latest addition to the Dodge Ram lineup. Dodge Conqueror. With Ram-tough galvanized steel body, powerful 3.9-liter Magnum V6 engine, and a lease of only $249 a month. The new Dodge Conqueror. Only at your local Chrysler dealer.
Earth-shaking news for everyone who owns a car from Canada's tire store, Canadian Tire. Now, for a limited time, take advantage of special buys on quality North American-made Motomaster tires. Like all 13-inch Motomaster AW Plus tires for just $43 each. 14-inch are $53 each, and 15-inch are only $63 each installed. But hurry, offer ends April 27th. Everyday low prices? That's good. Great sale prices on tires? That's better. Canadian Tire. Everyday low prices made better.
At the Civic Arena right after Smolinski makes it 3-0 for the Penguins. Andrew Brunette with his first ever playoff goal from Konowalchuk and Hunter at 14:51. 3-1 now. The Pens lead there.
Might this be the start of another Pittsburgh comeback? They did it in the Washington comeback. They did it in the first two games.
Alexei Zhamnov with a pretty good chance, but again, it's from a weak angle, and Zhamnov cannot get the shot on the goal. You see how many white jerseys are protecting the crease area in front of Chris Osgood. Almost like Winnipeg has to be willing just to fire that puck in and hope perhaps one of the Detroit players will provide the screen on Osgood. Again, you talk about territorial advantage. On 25 defensive zone faceoffs have been taken by the Winnipeg Jets. Detroit Red Wings only 3.
This one is won by Winnipeg, and the Jets moved it out to the neutral zone, but Fraser couldn't accept the lead pass to Winnipeg. Jets go down. Here's the pass for Yzerman. Yzerman, a backhand shot, the rebound, and the save by Happy Bullen. McCarty had raced up behind Yzerman and took a swipe at it, but Happy Bullen made another incredible stop. McCarty centered it, nobody in position. Newman starts away for Winnipeg. He shoots it into the corner. Shannon goes after it. He takes Konstantinov in against the end boards. It's picked up by Fedosov. Fedosov threw it up to the line. Cut off there by Dave Manson. And at this time, we say hello to the viewers who have been watching action between the Rangers and the Canadiens here at the Joe Louis Arena. It's Winnipeg 1 and Detroit 1. A power play goal by Dino Ciccarelli for the Red Wings after Darren Shannon had scored for Winnipeg. And now another Winnipeg penalty with Dave Manson going to the box. It was a 5-on-3 situation when Ciccarelli scored the tying goal, and the Jets are in penalty trouble again with Manson going off.
That's a roughing call again against Dave Manson. It's a retaliation penalty. Manson's going to take a real good hit from Konstantinov just seconds before this, and then he gives a little bit of a face wash to Keith Primo. That's what Morelli makes the call on. Certainly you can't afford to do this. Winnipeg, so fortunate to be in a 1-1 hockey game. Here's the hit by Konstantinov on Manson. That's what kind of got him upset in the first place, but you just can't afford to take these kinds of penalties. It's been all Detroit. They've spent so much time on the power play. If not for the brilliance of Nikolai Habibulin, the Red Wings would have a 5-goal advantage in this game.
The Red Wings, through the first 4 games of this series, averaged 34 shots on goal. They've already had 30 on Nikolai Habibulin. Winnipeg with just 7.
And for those of you that don't lend a lot of credence to the shots on goal, I'll tell you right now that of the 30 shots, 20 of them have been point blank.
Quality scoring opportunity. At the point, Fedorov gets it. Being watched by Zhamnov. Fedorov through traffic towards the net, and Habibulin makes the save, and the rebound is clear.
You know, I think the Red Wings are really trying to exploit the fact that they've got Oleg Tverdovsky down low killing the penalty. Not the defenseman that Simpson would normally like to use in that specific role. He'd rather go with his experienced guys, but he's kind of forced into it. Very short bench for Terry Simpson, down 3-1 in this series.
Yzerman being watched along the boards, throws it into the corner. Yzerman gets it again. Yzerman moves in, and another save by Habibulin, and the puck is deflected over the glass, out of play with 55 seconds left in the power play.
On the goal that was scored by Dino Ciccarelli in playoffs.
1:55 is the time remaining in the second period in a 1-1 tie, and that man is the reason this game is deadlocked at 1.
So he's been incredible, and it looks like he's having fun out there. That's the most amazing part. Again, a pattern that we've seen in this hockey game. Those point men just throw that puck into the crease area. They've got the outman situation down low. But look at the time that Yzerman has here to walk right in below the face-off dot. Khabibulin aggressively challenging well beyond the goal crease.
Primo and Tkachuk in the face-off circle. Primo ties up Tkachuk. The puck is loose. The Jets gain control and clear. Well, if the Winnipeg Jets can come out of this period deadlocked at 1, I think they'll be quite happy, particularly after they survived that 5-minute major. It was a 5-on-3. The Red Wings got the tying goal.
I feel like I'm watching Game 1 of this series, Don. The Red Wings totally dominate the first 2 periods. Can't get the lead in the hockey game and then take control in the third.
Here's Kozlov back to the point. There's the shot by Konstantinov. Korolev along the boards, having some problems. The puck is in his skates. It comes free. Zhamnov plays it back to Finlay, and he'll flip it down the ice. Just 10 seconds remaining in the Dave Manson penalty. 1:07 now in the second period. Konstantinov leading the rush for the Wings. He winds up. That one just trickles wide. Oh, it got past Khabibulin. The Jets are back at full strength, and it just went wide. Tverdovsky was looking for Manson going down the right side. He missed him with the pass, and it's icing against Winnipeg.
Face it, no other razor shaves closer or with more comfort than Gillette's Sensor XL. Soft microfins that protect your skin and individually spring-mounted twin blades that adjust to your face. No razor feels more comfortable during your shave or leaves your face smoother after. Gillette's Sensor XL. And try new Gillette Shave Gel. Now our best gel takes care of your skin, too.
Now, we've talked about in this series that the one thing the Jets need to do if they're going to have a chance to stay alive is they need to get a few breaks. And that time, for the first time perhaps, Khabibulin did get a break. That slap shot from Konstantinov had him beat through the pads, but he got the good bounce.
Tverdovsky has Draper on him immediately. 2 excellent skaters battling for the puck. Up along the boards for Olczyk, and he's able to chop it out. 36 seconds remaining in the period. Now it's picked up by Tverdovsky. He had to wait for Jani to get onside, and apparently he didn't wait long enough.
Red Wings again keep stacking people up at that blue line, and Winnipeg not attacking as a group. Let's go back and see that last shot by Vladimir Konstantinov, and the good break this time for Nikolai Khabibulin. Konstantinov from just inside the blue line, a little bit of an overreaction by the goaltender. That's what happens when that puck goes in between the pads. That time, however, Nikolai gets the good break.
What's that old saying about goaltenders? You have to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good?
No question, Khabibulin certainly has been good.
Going to be a penalty here as Keith Tkachuk took a shot to the head coming through the neutral zone, and Chris Draper will be going off.
Good call by Merwelli. Draper gets the stick up high. Scotty Bowman send his penalty killers out on the ice. They really have not been severely tested in this game. Let's take a look at it. Tkachuk angling back into the neutral zone. You see that Draper tries to take a run at him, gets the elbow and the stick up high. We talked about it before the game that Winnipeg power play has not produced a goal in this series. Here's the opportunity for them right here to change the momentum around in this hockey game.
They managed just 1 shot on their previous power play. They're 0 for 21 in the series. The only other team in the postseason that failed to score a power play goal, eliminated in 4 straight, and that, of course, the Calgary Flames.
And I guess you could say if there was one bad thing about the Jets not being able to practice for the last 2 days, it would be that you would imagine that Terry Simpson would have put some time in on working the power play, or, you know, a little bit differently perhaps. Nikolai Khabibulin, the story in this hockey game, it has been all Detroit Red Wings. He's been standing on his head.
But the Winnipeg Jets are in a 1-1 tie with 20 minutes remaining, and they will start the third period with still 1:47 and the penalty to Chris Draper.
If you were building the perfect sedan,
how would you do it? Well, you'd start with the luxuries you could get, like a Bose audio system with 6 individually tuned speakers and a keyless remote entry. Install a powerful 190 horsepower V6 engine. Then as a finishing touch, you'd put it on Car and Driver's 10 best list. The Nissan Maxima, the perfect sedan.
Imagine all the things you can get right now at Rent-All Supercenter, Manitoba's largest rent-to-own. No one is refused at Rent-All.
When you need new appliances, come to Rent-All. Stoves, fridges, washers, and dryers starting as low as $13.25 a week at Rent-All.
Remember, no one is refused. The sky's the limit at Rent-All Supercenter, 427 McPhillips Street, Winnipeg.
When you pick out new glasses, that's a big decision, but I can make sure you end up happy. You look great. Customers are very comfortable knowing that they have a guarantee at Lens Crafters. I wanted to bring these back. If you end up having second thoughts about your new glasses, you can always come back. No problem. I can replace them, or I can refund your money. At Lens Crafters, no hassles. We'll do whatever it takes to make you happy.
Oh, they look great.
It's not just a guarantee, it's a promise.
Lens Crafters, helping people see better, 1 hour at a time.
When you buy or sell a home, you can place full confidence in any of these Delbro representatives. Each is a trusted professional with the integrity and knowledge to serve you better. The people at Delbro work together, so each has access to fully reliable information and more opportunities. Dedicated, understanding, responsive. They are the pride of Manitoba. Delbro Real Estate.
Stanley Cup Crowd Noise, brought to you by Midas, the way it should be.
Oh, hi. It's Midas-sized days, and that's why we can't afford a complete commercial. We couldn't afford the whole screen. But, you know, what we saved, we're passing on to you. For a limited time, Midas will give you a computerized wheel alignment, plus balance all 4 wheels and rotate your tires, all for an amazing $39.95. They even inspect your brakes for free. What a deal. Okay, so you lean in and squint, and the commercial will look perfectly normal. Huh? Midas, the way it should be. Oh, yeah, and offer ends May 4th.
Hi, this is Andrew Hall from McMaster University, Hamilton, Ontario. Me and my roommates are just sitting around, and we just want to address the fact that everyone thinks that the Detroit Red Wings have pretty well won the Cup already this year. We don't believe that they have the toughness to win the Cup, and we think that a team more like Chicago with Chelios and Suter on defense, that they could, they have the toughness to reach the Cup, and we don't believe that Detroit's won it just yet.
Hi, this is Stuart from Edmonton, Alberta. I'd just like to say Philly is going to win the playoffs this year. I'll give you 3 reasons why. Eric Lindros, and Eric Lindros.
Hi, this is David Allen from Prince George, BC. I'm really enjoying watching the battle between Esa Tikkanen and Peter Forsberg in the Canuck Avalanche series. I've gained a lot of respect for Tikkanen now that I've seen him from both sides. You hate him when he plays against you, but you love him when he plays with you.
Hey, I'm McLeod, Prince Edward Island. I think the league should look at video replay as a more used option in the playoffs. It has already cost Toronto, New York a goal.
This is Randy Miller from Ottawa, Ontario. I've been wondering about this for years, but make sure you mention this is the only sport where they shake hands at the end of a series after beating each other up. It's something to behold every time I see it. Thank you.
Stanley Cup Crowd Noise, brought to you by Midas, the way it should be. To participate in Crowd Noise, call 1-900-870-0022, 95 cents per call. Callers must be 18 years or older.
Okay, everyone. Let's try one more time. 2 minutes to curtain, everyone. We've got to get ready. Play this.
Mr. Davis.
when you or someone in your family could get sick and need medicine. That's why many of our pharmacies stay open until midnight or 24 hours a day. Because regardless of the cuts to our healthcare system, you should have access to essential services. And we believe that includes getting the medicine you need, even if it's 3 a.m. Please call for a location that's open late near you.
I realized I'm a workaholic. I was putting my work before my family. I was missing my kids' childhood. So, I quit my job, and now I'm working at home. And I'll tell you something. I wouldn't miss these years for anything in the world. How you come with those copies, son?
Okay, Daddy.
Staples has everything you need to work out of your home. Guaranteed low prices on over 6,000 items.
Can you collate those for Daddy?
Staples, the best buys in office supplies.
It starts with fresh baked bread, juicy slices of mouth-watering seasoned steak, real processed cheese, and the kicker, it's covered with the sweet and mild taste of A1 Thick and Hearty steak sauce. And the only place you can get it is at Subway. Now it's Subway's new A1 Steak and Cheese. Plus, all the fresh veggies you want. You want onions, tomatoes, green peppers, you got them. Just point and they're on your A1 Steak and Cheese. Subway's A1 Steak and Cheese. Hurry in for a limited time. If you're not hungry yet, check your pulse.
Imagine all the things you can get right now at Rent-All Supercenter, Manitoba's largest rent-to-own. No one is refused at Rent-All.
For home entertainment, Rent-All's looking good. TVs, stereo systems, and CD ghetto blasters starting as low as $375 a week at Rent-All.
Remember, no one is refused. The sky's the limit at Rent-All Supercenter, 427 McPhillips Street, Winnipeg.
Scientists have revealed an astronomical discovery which can only be viewed by Canadians living on the prairies. The return of a spectacular interstellar phenomenon known as Toyota Red Tag Days, featuring the best deals ever on new 96 Toyota cars and trucks. Scientists calculate Red Tag Days are hurtling through Western Canada at incredible finance rates starting at 4.6% on selected vehicles. It is visible to the naked eye, but only if you hurry down to your neighborhood Toyota dealer before Toyota Red Tag Days tail off.
2 quick goals in the third period at Madison Square Garden. 13 seconds in, that's Brian Leach doing what the Rangers said they had to do, and that's go high on Jocelyn Thibault. For Beacon Driver, the assist, that was a power play goal. This is a short-handed goal. Alexei Kovalev with the wraparound as he tucks it along the ice inside the post off the back of the skate. And it's now suddenly 3-0, the New York Rangers leading 1-1 at Joe Louis Arena, Detroit. Kelly Rudy joins me again. Kelly, what do you think about the Detroit-Winnipeg game? Shots are so lopsided now. What do we have? 32-7 after 40 minutes.
Well, we've obviously heard the saying before that a goaltender can try and steal you a game. Well, obviously, Javi Boulin's trying to do that. I really like Detroit's patience. I just hope that Winnipeg doesn't keep taking those bad penalties.
Right, they spoke off the top about discipline, and you can see Dave Manson, who brings such a presence. He was after Cicerelli. You know, he's riled right now, and if they can't settle him down, what about Cicerelli?
What a player this guy is. He's really underrated now. For years we've known all about him, but as players get older and younger guys come in, other players are talked about, but he's absolutely forgotten, and not by us players, so he's very much respected, and he has a broken nose. He got a broken nose in practice yesterday, and then in the second period we saw Manson give him the old elbow in the nose, and he keeps playing. I'm sure his eyes were all teary and everything.
Looks like Beauty and the Beast out there. Anyhow, we will take you to New York. It's not Manson. Or is it? Dave, you're too big. It is. We'll show you a little action from Madison Square Garden, find out the story after a commercial break. It's 1-1 at Joe Louis Arena, Detroit. The Jets trying to hang on for Game 6. We're back in a moment.
Forget Robins. Canadian Tire's spring sale tells me spring is finally here.
I need a spring sale because I need spring stuff.
I picked up a 5-gallon wet-dry shop vac for only $47.99.
Check out this single-speed Makita 3/8-inch cordless drill for $39.99.
The best names at the best prices. I got to get to my store this week.
Canadian Tire. Everyday low prices made better.
Not everyone can be a seasoned news professional. Not everyone can bring you the headlines. Not everyone can deliver the news objectively. Not everyone belongs in a newsroom. Especially Daniel Richler.
But find out what Daniel Richler does do best with his new show, Big Life, Saturday at 9 Eastern on CBC News World. That's right, CBC News World, tough guy.
Now, don't ask me why, but Sharon wants to meet you. So once she gets here, just say hello, act normal, then we're out of here.
I can't believe our little Billy has a girlfriend.
Okay, first rule, my name is Bill, and I'm not little.
Bill?
You're not going to wear that.
What?
What's with that hair?
What?
Why is he in a suit?
Cool, huh?
Why did I agree to this? Hi, Sharon. This is my family. Let's go.
Hey, wait. We're just going to McDonald's. Maybe they'd like to come with us.
McDonald's? Yeah, that's okay with you, Bill.
When it comes to broadleaf weed control, nothing performs like Refine Extra. Refine Extra is easy to handle. It's completely crop safe. And it handles all your broadleaf problems in oats, barley, and wheat, including wild buckwheat. And top growth control of Canada thistle. Refine Extra. A knock-em-dead performance nothing can match.
Welcome back. They're in the intermission in Detroit, so let's get some action from Madison Square Garden, where it's now 3-0 New York. Here's Dick Irvin and Greg Miller.
We welcome the viewers who've been watching Winnipeg at Detroit. I'm Dick Irvin with Greg Miller and Scott Russell here at Madison Square Garden in New York. Face-off in the Canadian zone. 2 quick New York goals to start this third period, and it's 3-0 for the Rangers. Saku Koivu at the New York blue line on the rush, drops it off to David Wilkie, and hit shot. Stopped by Mike Richter. The rebound just wide. Now they battle for it. They score! Saku Koivu from the edge of the goal crease, and the Canadians are on the board. Rangers lead is now 3-1. The fans are starting to give Richter an ovation here, Greg, I think. Sorry.
Well, it's the first time that the Canadians have scored and used their speed on the rush. Saku Koivu starts it off, but something the Canadians have not done much of this series. David Wilkie, a defenseman, joins the play. And that creates the Ranger breakdown, and nobody picks up Saku Koivu in front. Richter almost gets the puck, but he's down and out. And Saku Koivu gets the Canadians on the board, and we just mentioned how the Canadians all series long have not given up. A good example of it here, Wilkie with a good play to follow Koivu, and then Koivu finishes it off as he chips the puck over Mike Richter, and now we have a 3-1 hockey game.
The Rangers have been hammering Koivu all night, but the little guy from Finland, 21 years of age, has hung in there, as you see, and gets his third goal of the series.
And that was one of the few times this hockey game that the Rangers have had a poor read off the rush.
So Koivu scores the goal. Wilkie does the setting up, the rushing and the setting up, and it's 3-1 Rangers. Sundstrom stopped up. Turgeon ahead. Valerie Bure with Oleg Petrov. Bure rolls it through. Petrov is there for Montreal. Stops up against Brian Leach, who was injured late in the first period but came back to start the second. Turgeon battling there with Sundstrom. Leach took a run at Petrov and knocked him down, and Nicholas Sundstrom clears the puck to center ice for Luke Robitaille. Robitaille taken out along the boards at the Canadiens blue line by Quintal. There's battle along the board. The Rangers have done most of the winning of those battles so far tonight, but here comes Mark Recchi now. Recchi at the line, passes back, a lot of traffic. Turgeon is checked, and the puck is out to center ice. Greg, maybe a quick recap for our Winnipeg-Detroit viewers as to just what happened toward the end of that second period and the start of the third.
Well, that's right. There was a power play goal by Leach very early in the third period that started the Rangers off in the third. A high shot that went over Thibault. Finally, the Rangers solved them high. And then Kovalev, with a great individual effort down low, scored again for the Rangers before the Canadians just scored to make it 3-1.
Valerie Bure at center ice. His pass doesn't feed through. Players fall. Puck is shot down.
Thanks to Dick and Greg. Back to Don and Brian at Joe Louis Arena when we continue with our coverage of the '96 Stanley Cup playoffs on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
There's something new
Dodge country. Introducing the latest addition to the Dodge Ram lineup. Dodge Conqueror. With Ram tough galvanized steel body, powerful 3.9-liter Magnum V6 engine, and a lease of only $249 a month. The new Dodge Conqueror. Only at your local Chrysler dealer.
With most other phone cards, you have to dial a complex access code of up to 11 digits before you can even begin to dial your call.
Flight 609 departing at 6:32 from gate 26 is now boarding. With passengers in rows 18 through 35, please present your boarding pass at gate 26.
But with MTS calling card service, you just dial 0, then place your call. Another reason why the MTS calling card is the best card, period.
Last call from Flight 609 at 6:32, departing from gate 26.
Imagine all the things you can get right now at Rent-All Supercenter, Manitoba's largest rent-to-own. No one is refused at Rent-All.
Furnish your home affordably with Rent-All. Living room, dining room, and bedroom sets starting as low as $17.50 a week at Rent-All.
Remember, no one is refused. The sky's the limit at Rent-All Supercenter, 427 McPhillips Street, Winnipeg. Window Power is going to change the way you look at windows forever. In the past, even the best windows have been subject to a common cold weather problem, condensation. But now, by combining our power glass and exclusive gold power spacer, we've created Window Power, which reduces or completely eliminates condensation. Window Power is going to change the way you look at windows forever. Exclusively from Polar Window of Canada. Tune in.
Canada is the story of a country.
Good evening.
And each night the story changes.
And on our magazine.
In the place we call home.
St. John's.
Quebec City.
Ottawa. Edmonton.
Vancouver.
Peter Mansbridge and Hannah Gardner. The National tonight.
1-1 is the score as we head into the third period. The Winnipeg Jets will start the third on the power play. 1:47 remaining in the sentence to Chris Draper.
Pick up that Winnipeg goal. Got him the lead in this hockey game. The turnover by Coffey. Mike Eastwood slips it out in front, and Darren Shannon makes a beautiful shot. Picks the corner. Osgood, not much chance, but it would be Dino Cicerelli that would tie this game up. Look at Jeff Finley. First he starts holding the stick of Cicerelli, but when Finley goes out of position to block the shot, Dino slides into the open. He just tips it through the pads of Nikolai Habibulin, who once again has been brilliant in this hockey game.
He's faced 32 Red Wing shots, and Brian, you were saying during the intermission, this might go down as one of the great goaltending playoff performances.
Well, if he can pull this one out of the fire, it certainly would right up there in my book, because it has been all Detroit. He's been under siege all night. Chris Draper remains in the box for the Red Wings.
Teppo Numminen has Fedorov on him quickly. Now it's Kachuk for Janney. Tried to leave it there for Zhamnov. It bounced in across the line offside. There was no scoring in the first period as the Wings outshot the Jets 13-3. The first 6 penalties of the hockey game were called against Winnipeg. At even strength, Shannon made it 1-0 at 4:09, and then with a 2-man advantage at 8:57, Cicerelli tied it. 32 shots by the Wings, just 7 by the Winnipeg Jets. Once this year, the Red Wings limited the opposition to only 8 shots. That was a game against the Calgary Flames. Numminen keeps the puck in the zone. Lidstrom will again try and clear. Cut off by Kachuk. Back at the point, Numminen tried to slide it across. It was intercepted. Brown breaking down the wing is cut off by Numminen. Rink-wide pass is behind Konstantinov. He drives hard for the net around Zhamnov. Lost control of it. There's going to be a penalty against Zhamnov.
Not much question about that. I mean, Alexei Zhamnov is going to protest. But this is a soft play by the Winnipeg Jets. They do have the man advantage. People just kind of standing around in the neutral zone is why Vladimir Konstantinov senses the opportunity to jump up into the play. Look at Zhamnov. He just stops skating. He puts the hook into the midsection of Konstantinov. Too late to throw your arms up into the air, Alexei. Merwelli's going to make that call every time.
So in 1:01, the Red Wings will have a power play of 59 seconds. Something the Jets said they had to do coming into this game. And I'm sure Terry Simpson reminded them of it in the dressing room before the start of the contest. Stay out of the penalty box, but that has not been the case tonight.
Simpson has got to be infuriated right now because they're given the gift of starting the third on the power play, and they don't really get anything going.
Coffey throws it towards the net. He went off in the second period. He appeared to be having some problems with his foot. While Coffey can't skate, that certainly reduces his effectiveness. Here's Coffey taking the pass at the point. His shot is blocked in traffic. The Wings trying to keep it onside, and they succeed.
You talk about Paul Coffey. He has had a broken blood vessel in the one foot that has caused him some considerable discomfort, rather. And he seemed to block a shot with that same foot in the second period. That's when he went to the locker room.
Steve Tkachuk works his way through the neutral zone, now goes to the bench as the Jets make a change. In 16 seconds, the Red Wings will have a power play. Fedosov gets away from Shannon, moves it ahead to Fedorov. Fedorov takes it in deep, being watched by Newman. Fedorov trying to get into position. He shoots. That steers wide by Abby Bowen. Aaron Shannon takes it behind his own net. The Red Wings back at full strength as Draper came out of the box and went over to the Red Wing bench. 50 seconds remaining in the penalty to Jamnok. Here comes Yzerman. He has Larionov with him. He takes the drop pass into the slot area. Good defensive play by Shannon to read that pass.
You know, we talked about the fact that the Jets are not standing up in the neutral zone. For the most part, the Red Wings able to penetrate the blue line without a lot of difficulty. A lot easier said than done against this Detroit Hockey Club because they do have so many talented forwards up front that are capable of beating you one-on-one. The defense, of course, certainly not encouraged to make their challenge too early in the zone.
And the Red Wing defenseman will jump up into the play as we have seen so often in this series. Yzerman with a long shoot-in. That ricochets around the glass. 6 seconds remaining in the Winnipeg penalty. Here's Yzerman in the corner. He leaves it there for Cicerelli. He's checked by Muni. Cicerelli goes down. Jamnok is back on the ice. Sets at full strength, and they have killed off another penalty. Larionov for Cicerelli. Cicerelli tries to feed it in front for Coffey, who came racing in from the point. Jamnok attempts to poke it past Coffey. The puck is caught up in skates. Jamnok will try and come the other way. Cicerelli is preventing him from going in the direction he wants to. It comes loose right out in front of the net, picked up by Tkachuk.
I'm looking at the body language of some of those Winnipeg players as they head over to the bench, and they look exhausted.
Paul Coffey comes flying through the neutral zone. Primo goes hard to the net. Coffey centers it. Nobody in position. Picked up now by Shane Doan. Doan coming down the left side against Coffey. He shoots. The big rebound lying right in the crease. And it's cleared away. Primo took a solid hit against the end board. Now here's Finlay. He shoots. That is fired wide. Eastwood gets it. He looks back to the point. Finlay throws it back into the corner. Center. Nobody in position. And finally Johnson gets it to the line. Not up. Shot right on. The puck is loose at the side of the net. And it's finally covered up by Osgood. And this line of Shannon, Eastwood, and Doan has been most effective for Winnipeg.
Around your world, the experiences, exploring an unpublished map you have inside, winding up making yourself at home. And when in Rome, you know. Why? Because I am.
Sensual. Very sensual.
Hot. Very hot.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. So gorgeous.
Really, really hot. You never forget.
You never forget your first one. Red hot deals. Hurry.
Here's the two respective goaltenders in tonight's contest. Well, how have they stacked up against one another, and who's been the busiest? Take a look at the shots on goal totals. It's pretty much been a 2-to-1 margin during this series in favor of the Red Wings. And I would have to say that if you were to total up the quality scoring chances, it might be 4 or 5-to-1 in that category.
Osgood only had to face 30 shots combined for the first two games of the series. A 4-1, 4-0 victory by the Red Wings.
That shot on goal by Keith Tkachuk was the first shot on goal generated by the big line on the Winnipeg Jets in this hockey game. Until that last one, Olchuk, Janney, and Tkachuk had been held right off the board.
Marawelli has called a penalty, and I think it's against Fedosov.
It's going to be Fedosov, and it's an elbowing penalty. Fedorov goes over to the referee to get the explanation on the play. Another good opportunity for Winnipeg. You look at the penalty situation, 6-to-1 in terms of the penalties called against Winnipeg versus Detroit. And this one has to fall into the marginal category as to what has gone on in this hockey game. There seemed to be significant contact, but the elbow was up a little high.
The Jets have managed just one shot in their two power play opportunities in this game. 0 for 22 in the series. But there was a game here at the Joe Louis Arena on the 8th of January where Winnipeg scored 4 power play goals. Here's Lidstrom shorthanded, dropping it off. Picked off by Newman. Lead pass for Tkachuk. Tkachuk had to put on the brakes for Newman. He had some problems controlling it. Airy clears, knocks it back out to center ice. Jamnoff had to hurry to get back there to pick it up. Now he feeds it over to McIver. McIver works his way in. McIver shoots a weak shot. That goes wide. Newman knocks it down at center ice. 1:23 remaining in the Winnipeg power play. Jamnoff leaves it for McIver. Rink wide for Newman, and he couldn't handle it. Pass fed ahead to Brown. Manson watching him. Manson ties him up. The puck is loose along the boards. Craig Janney starts away for Winnipeg. He manages to push it over on the wing. It's dumped in by Tverdovsky. But there's nobody in there to pressure the puck.
Just a lot more jump in the legs of the Detroit Red Wings than there is for the Winnipeg Jets.
Coffey's shot sails wide. Manson is bumped along the boards. Olchek in there trying to free it. It does come loose, but it's knocked back into the Red Wing zone with 40 seconds remaining in the penalty to Fedosov. 14:15 left in the third period in a 1-1 tie.
You know, I'm not so sure that puck went wide. I think that might have been the second big break for Habibul, and I believe that Paul Coffey shot might have gone off the knob of the goalkeeper's stick.
Again, the Jets try and dump it in, but the Red Wings are there ahead of any Winnipeg player. Chris Draper is out there forechecking. With only 12 seconds remaining in the penalty against Fedosov. Here's a chance for Olchek, and that's a glove save by Osgood, and he'll freeze it with just 3 seconds remaining in the Fedosov penalty.
Canadian Tire has great prices on everything you need. Plus, earn Canadian Tire money with every cash purchase of merchandise. Canadian Tire. Everyday low prices made better.
You know, I mentioned Chris Osgood, who made a fine save on a relatively harmless shot from Eddie Olchuk. But the other end of the ice, Paul Coffey steps in with speed, which makes it so much more difficult. And you can see that goes off the shaft of the stick of Habibul, and it's always a fortunate play. And the goaltender misses it with the blocker. He catches a piece of that stick and goes into the corner.
Paul Coffey scored a short-handed goal in Game 2 of this series to get the Red Wings off and running in a 4-0 victory. 13:40 remaining in the third in a 1-1 tie. Winnipeg trying to force a 6th game back in Winnipeg on Sunday. The Red Wings trying to wrap things up tonight here at the Joe Louis. Yzerman slides it across. There's the shot by Coffey. Coffey felt that he really didn't get onto the shot when he wanted. He banged his stick on the ice in a bit of frustration at the conclusion. Here's Tkachuk with a shot. That's steered to the corner. McIver Tries to get it over to Tkachuk. Now it's to the point to Manson. He shoots. He scores! Dave Manson puts Winnipeg in front 2-1.
You talk about breaks. The Jets get another big one right here because it's a relatively harmless shot by Manson going towards the front of the net. But partway towards the crease, it deflects off one of the Detroit players. I think it might have been Paul Coffey. Let's take a look at it right here. Dave Manson gets the go-ahead goal, but look at this. He doesn't get a lot on this shot, but there's the deflection off the stick. It never did reach that Detroit defense or Chris Osgood cleanly. I think it's Fetisov who's cutting through the slot area. Redirects that puck past Chris Osgood. Huge break for the Jets. Terry Simpson and his Chargers have got life.
That's the second playoff goal for Dave Manson. It's unassisted at 6:52. So while they couldn't do anything on the power play, the Winnipeg Jets get the go-ahead goal. 13 minutes remaining in the third period. Konstantinov weaves his way through center ice to Fedorov. He's stopped at the blue line. Now back after it goes Fetisov, being watched by Jamna.
Let's go back to game one. Remember what the Jets did. They had the one-goal lead. They went into the defensive shell, and it backfired on them. We'll see if they learned anything from that experience. They have got to continue to play part of this game, at least in the Detroit zone.
Ian Fraser couldn't get it up. Fedorov, who had been knocked down, comes up with the puck for Larionov. He couldn't center. Now he looks for Fetisov, and here come the Winnipeg Jets as it's broken up. Led out through the neutral zone with Korolev trying to work around Konstantinov, who did a good job of cutting him off.
The other lesson to be learned from the first few games in this series is that when the Red Wings need a goal, all of a sudden their defense get a lot more active in the play in the offensive zone.
Abby Bullen handles the shot by Larionov, and he holds it for a face-off with 12 minutes remaining in the third period.
Chevy, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. A clear vision, expert design, hydroflow cushioning, all that, and yet they're still not officially Brooks shoes. Now they are.
At Madison Square Garden, Mark Recchi to Pierre Turgeon, and he looks for Rory Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick from the slot at 16:23, and the Canadians have life. It's 3-2 Rangers inside 3 minutes to go in the third, fellas. And here it's 2-1 Winnipeg as Tverdovsky tries to skate the puck out of his own zone, having some problems handling it. Picked up now by Lidstrom, ahead to Johnson. Behind his back, there's the shot, and another save by Abby Bullen. He's lost his goal stick. And in front of the Winnipeg net, the defenseman, Craig Muni, is down on top of the puck.
Well, the Red Wings just continue to pour on the pressure against Abby Bullen. Wise play by Muni to hold on to that puck and get a whistle. Abby Bullen was without a goal stick. Appeared that it got knocked right out of his hands by the force of the Ciccarelli shot. Take a look at it right here. Here's the goal by Dave Manson, the go-ahead goal. Awards Winnipeg with the lead in this hockey game, but the Red Wings pour it on. Look at a nifty little behind-the-back pass, Johnson to Ciccarelli, and again, hits the knob of the goal stick of Abby Bullen with such force. You see the little mark on his stick right there. That's where the puck hit, knocked it right out of his hand.
Johnson gets the draw back to the line. There's a shot, the puck loose in front of the net. Jamnov tried to kick it back to Abby Bullen, and he succeeded. A bit of a dangerous play there by Jamnov. but he was able to neatly kick the puck back to Happy Boolin with all sorts of traffic in front of the Winnipeg goal.
And that time it was Greg Johnson who got shoved in toward the Winnipeg goalkeeper. See the stick right there. Here's that flash shot by Cicerelli. You can see the force of the shot. Knocks the stick right out of Happy Boolin's hands. Fortunate play once again because the puck had him beat. The stick just happened to be in the right spot at the right time.
Happy Boolin has faced 40 shots thus far as the Red Wings have been firing from every conceivable angle, but they've only been able to beat him once, and that was with a two-man advantage in the second period.
And the question that you have to ask yourself, with Simpson going predominantly with just two lines in this hockey game, are the Jets going to have enough gas left at the end of the night?
Jamnoff is able to clear. Well, his bench was reduced to 10 forwards with the injury to Chris King and the ejection of Stapleton. Now it's Jamnoff and Tkachuk. Over to Jamnoff, and he couldn't handle the pass.
Boy, and would that have been a big insurance goal for the Winnipeg Jets? 2-on-1 opportunity. That puck just seemed to bounce over the stick of Jamnoff.
Jamnoff bangs it off the boards and out. It's Paul Coffey bringing it back in. Trying to go around Finlay, and he throws it at the net from a sharp angle. Here's another shot that just goes wide. Coffey working in the corner. Finlay takes him in against the board. Puck comes free to Newmanen. Newmanen pushes it ahead to Korolev. Shannon racing up in the play. Drop pass for Jamnoff to Korolev. He tried to center it, and it wound up underneath a Red Wing player. And it's taken in against the boards for a face-off.
Boy, I tell you what, the Jets have had two odd man breaks in the last 45 seconds, and they haven't been able to put a shot on the net. Alexei Zamnov put it in the hands of Korolev, but Korolev passes up the shot on the second opportunity, and just seconds before that, here's the pass, Tkachuk to Zamnov. He goes to make the shift in front of Osgood, and the puck just dribbles off the end of his stick. That's a terrible break for the Winnipeg Jets. That would have been a huge goal to put them up 3-1.
Eastwood is out there now with Doan, gets the draw back to Manson. Manson's shot is blocked. It bounces off Yzerman, back out to center ice, and Yzerman goes limping off to the Red Wing bench. Turnover, picked up by Winnipeg. Ian Fraser back to the net for Eastwood. He was tied up, and now Primo goes rink wide with the pass as we approach the midpoint of the third period. Good job by Shane Doan to get back and break up the play. The Red Wings are relentless in their attack, although Konstantinov was stopped as he tried to slide it through to Fedorov. But Fedosov now feeds it ahead to Fedorov. That's a two-line pass.
Fedorov, certainly the offensive part of his game has been relatively quiet tonight. Played a very physical contest, and he's been all over the ice defensively, but he really has not been able to get free of those Winnipeg back checkers so far. They've done a pretty good job of containing him. But is it me, or do you always get the feeling that Fedorov always has another gear that he can switch into at some point in the hockey game? And down one, I look for him to be a huge factor down the stretch.
Well, he was able to shift into that extra gear in Winnipeg in Game 4. He had 4 assists. Konstantinov in the corner. At the bottom right of your screen, you see the final minute of the Rangers-Canadiens game. 3-2 the Rangers lead, less than a minute remaining. Here it's 2-1 Winnipeg. Fedosov, a backhand shot. Slipped out of the zone by Newmanen. 9:28 remaining in the third period. Again, the play broken up at the blue line. Eddie Olczyk deflects it up into the crowd. Konstantinov, Coffey, Lidstrom, all jumping up into the play big time tonight for the Red Wings. So is Fedosov. Ramsey really has been the only stay-at-home defender. But in Game 1, he was jumping right up into the play. Bergevin hasn't seen much action since the first period, and Taylor hasn't been on the ice very much.
Well, and you figure that Scotty Bowman's going with a hunch right here as he gets Taylor up front and goes with perhaps the youthful legs that have an awful lot left in them. Taylor, Draper, and Brown, you go back to Game 1. Remember, it was Bowman put them out for the last 18 seconds of that power play that kind of took everybody by surprise, and they came up with a huge goal.
Ramsey drives it in. He takes a strange bounce. Brown kicks it behind the net. Tverdovsky neatly dodges the check. This is Chad Gilger's first shift. He can't control it. Loose puck in the slot. Another save by Happy Bullen, and it's dumped down the ice. Racing after it is Jamnov. Ramsey trying to get back. Jamnov puts on the brakes. Neat move, looking for Korolev in front. Broken up by the wings, and they are forced to flip it down the ice. Happy Bullen has to make the save. He plays it away from Draper. Tverdovsky was looking for Jamnov up at the blue line. Now Paul Coffey swings away from Jamnov, gets away from Korolev, gains speed as he hits center ice for Draper. Draper shoots, and it's in the pads of Nikolai Habibulin with 8:37 remaining in the third period. Winnipeg clinging to a one-goal lead.
Just because your fastball wasn't fast enough, your base running wasn't quick enough, your hitting wasn't hard enough, doesn't mean that you can't still score.
When it comes to broadleaf weed control, nothing performs like Refine Extra. Refine Extra is easy to handle. It's completely crop safe. And it handles all your broadleaf problems in oats, barley, and wheat, including wild buckwheat. And top growth control with Canada Thistle. Refine Extra. A knock-em-dead performance nothing can match.
Anglophone farming communities in Quebec struggle with the specter of separation.
Parts of Quebec may separate, but we live in Quebec, Canada, forever.
Watch English Enclaves Sunday on Country Canada.
Well, after losing the first two games at home, the Rangers have come back. They now lead the series 3-2 after winning 3-2 at Madison Square tonight. Pittsburgh leads Washington 3-1. The game is in the third period. Here it's 2-1, Winnipeg leading. Tkachuk gets the draw back to McIver. Up along the boards for Olczyk. He bats it out of the air down the ice. Olczyk steals. He winds up in a glove save by Osgood. He leaves it there for Primo. Coffey moves it ahead. Yzerman trying to work around McIver. They continue the battle as the puck goes back to the net. Lidstrom trying to cut it off at the blue line, and it deflects into the crowd, out of play with 8:06 remaining in the third.
Well, you sense that Winnipeg, enjoying the fact that they are in this hockey game and have the lead, have a little bit more gas left in the tank than perhaps we thought they would at this point in the hockey game. Now all of a sudden the gap has been closed by Terry Simpson's players as the Red Wings try to enter that Winnipeg zone. Eddie Olczyk puts it on net, but an Osgood dishes it off to the side. Only Eddie Olczyk goes down below the hash marks. The other two Winnipeg forwards just drop back into the neutral zone and call it a trap or whatever you want to call it. The trap is one thing as long as it's an aggressive trap, and that's what you're seeing at this stage of the game anyways from Winnipeg.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets, regardless of the outcome, will be chartering home immediately after the game tonight, and I wouldn't be surprised. There'll be a fairly large welcoming committee at the Winnipeg airport. Even bigger if they can hang on to this 2-1 edge.
No question about that. They've said all along their entire focus was to provide those fans with another opportunity for the Sea of White perhaps to redeem themselves.
Even with the uncertainty of whether or not there would be a Game 6 in this series, Winnipeg fans have responded, and the game is completely sold out. It will take place Sunday if there is to be a sixth game, but still 7:44 separating the Jets from victory as Fedorov goes to the attack. He attempted to weave his way through. Newman is on him. Kozlov has it. Now for Larionov. Larionov centers it. Another save by Habibulin off Kozlov.
Not only was Kozlov right down off the crease, but Fedosov had pinched down from his blue line position. He was stationed right out front. One of those area passes by Larionov. Watch Kozlov. He rolls off the check by Zamnov and beats him to the front of the net. Larionov just slides it out in front. Good save again by Habibulin. Look at the little challenge by the goaltender. He moves off the post and gets down low. Nikolai takes a little bit of a peek over that right shoulder to make sure that he's got that puck in front of him. Slava Kozlov
He may regret the words that he spoke prior to this fifth game, saying he's figured out how to beat Nikolai Happy Bulin.
Well, not too many of the Red Wings have got that figured out yet.
Well, it was Kozlov who scored one of the 6 goals in Game 4 as the Red Wings took a 3-1 series lead. But only Dino Ciccarelli on the power play has been able to put one past Nikolai Happy Bulin tonight. Happy Bulin, down the stretch run, was named the first star of the game in the Winnipeg Jets' last 3 wins. He was the first star of the hockey game in the Winnipeg Jets' only win so far in the series, and I think regardless of the outcome tonight, he'll probably be the game's first star.
No, there's no question about that. Defensive zone draws becoming critical at this point in the hockey game. It's been a dominant another part of the area for Detroit.
Shot trickled through just wide along the boards. The Jets are able to bang it out.
We talk about the importance of faceoffs. Winnipeg has only won 14 of 32 draws in the defensive zone tonight.
Greg Muni is able to hold up Chris Draper. Puck goes back into the corner. Eastwood takes his time before he throws it out of the zone. Puck deflected down into Winnipeg territory. Happy Bulin plays it along the boards. Almost got trapped out there. Now Darren Shannon starts away. Shannon trying to drive it in, broken up by the wings, and they go to the attack again. McCarty puts on the brakes. He's spun around, but the play had already been called on an offside, and there is going to be a face-off back in Red Wing territory.
It can be said that coming home has a lot of things going for it. There's the familiar faces of the home team itself, the people who know your Honda inside and out. And right now, they have a little something to make coming home that much sweeter. A genuine Honda oil and filter change for only $19.95. So why open your hood to strangers? Bring it home to Honda.
6:42 remaining in the third. Kachuk runs into some traffic back to the net. To the point now. Manson tees it up. His shot bounced off Osgood. Kachuk was there. Olchek gets it. Tried to center it. Back to the line for McIver. He throws it behind the goal. Olchek behind the net trying to get it out front. Coffey has lost his stick. The Wings gain control and they bring it up ice. Eiserman is knocked down. The fans react thinking there should have been a penalty call. And it's Kachuk knocking it out of the zone with Konstantinov going back after him.
Manson gets away with one again, trying to stand up Steve Eiserman.
Here's Primo working into the slot area. Backhand shot, and the rebound is cleared to the boards. And this time, there is a whistle and a penalty against Winnipeg.
It's going to be a tripping call against Eddie Olchuk. Here's the signal from referee Merwelli. Simpson takes a look up at the clock. They're down to 5:51 remaining. But before Merwelli made this call, he perhaps could have made one against Dave Manson defending against Eiserman. Eiserman with a step to the outside. Tripped by Manson. There was no call, but then when Primo brings it into the slot area, you see that both Kachuk and Jamnov take the feet out from under him, and it's Kachuk that gets the tripping penalty levied against him.
The third minor called against Keith Kachuk in this hockey game. 5:51 remaining. And this will be a big test for the Winnipeg Jets. Perry Pern, the assistant coach, on the headphones upstairs to Randy Carlisle as he talks strategy with Perry Simpson.
The big story in this hockey game, that Red Wing power play. 4 for 7 in Game 4, other than the 5-on-3 goal by Ciccarelli. They have been held off the board tonight.
Fedorov looks in front. Larionov takes up a position. Goes to the point for Lidstrom. Fedorov from a sharp angle. The rebound gathered up by Newmanen. Newmanen got it to the line and out. Darren Shannon works in against Paul Coffey. Shannon takes his time and then slides it down into the corner, picked up there by Larionov. He's forced to circle back. Shannon falls.
Now it's fed ahead to Fedorov. Fedorov circles, looks for someone to give it to. 1:20 remaining in the penalty. Puck in the Winnipeg corner. Cicerelli controlling it. Cicerelli at the side of the net for Fedorov. Back to Coffey at the point. Over to Lidstrom to Coffey. Coffey moving in. Larionov shoots, saves. The puck is loose in front, and the Winnipeg Jets get it down the ice.
Terrific save by Habby Bullen once again. Larionov had time. He knew what he wanted to do with the puck, and that was go up high and under the bar, and Habby Bullen just beat him.
Here's Cicerelli. Checked along the boards by Finlay. Finlay will flip it high, and he'll put it into the crowd with 43 seconds remaining in the penalty. Well, actually, the clock continues to run.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets would love to see it run down about another 40 seconds or so, but I don't think Merwelli is going to let them away with that. Yzerman immediately goes over to the timekeeper's bench.
And it's still running.
Kind of remind you of those amateur hockey days.
Listen to the fans. Well, this will take some sorting out. But they obviously are having a problem with the time clock because it is continuing to tick away. And the Winnipeg Jets would love to see this go on for 3 minutes and 53 more seconds.
You know, this is also a good break for the Winnipeg Jets because it will afford their penalty-killing unit a time to take a breather. You see Teppo Numminen over at the Winnipeg bench. It's a sip of water. Habby Bullen remains active. He's now faced 49 shots in this hockey game. He's been a miracle worker down in that Winnipeg goal crease. There's one of the things, you know, so often in the playoffs that video replay becomes a factor. Take a look at number 7. They can go upstairs to the video replay judge to reestablish the correct time on the clock. I don't think too many players are aware of that because right now there's a lot of politicking going on exactly what time the clock should be reset to.
Well, they have finally stopped it at 3:03. Matt Pavlich is the NHL replay official upstairs. And after taking a look at the video, he will determine when the clock should have been stopped and how much time will be added to the 3:03 that remains. Wally Harris is the NHL supervisor in attendance at tonight's game. He's on the left. To the right is Matt Pavlich.
He'll just rewind the tape to the point where they hear the referee blow the whistle, and they have the clock actually burned right into their image upstairs, so there's no doubt it will be accurately reset. Another one of those instances where you like to see it taken out of the hands of referee Dan Merwelli.
4:36 is the time on the clock.
Take a look at Dino Cicerelli in front of the goal. Now, one of the things that he does, not only is he providing the screen, but you see how he ties up Dave Manson? He does that so when the Red Wings do bring the puck down into the crease area, it's much more difficult for Manson to get back to the middle of the ice and battle for the rebounds. It's interference, but he does such a good job of disguising it that it is very rarely called against him. That's why Cicerelli is one of the best power play guys ever to play the game.
The fans at the Joe Loup trying to get into it with 4:36 remaining. Puck goes to the boards. Jamnov works his way out to center ice with Korolev. Jamnov is hauled down. There'll be an offsetting Red Wing penalty. 34 seconds remaining in the Tkachuk minor. And Jamnov draws a penalty with his hard work coming out of the zone.
Tremendous effort by Jamnov as he was exiting the defensive zone. He puts a little move on the Red Wings, walks around him. It was really a 2-on-2 through the neutral zone, but the play was made by Jamnov as he flipped that puck over to Korolev. And Paul Coffey. Boy, you'd have to think that Paul Coffey should never pull anyone down. He skates so darn well, he'll always be able to get back into position. And I'm sure that he's pretty frustrated with himself right now.
15:36, the time of the hooking call against Paul Coffey. 4:24 remaining in the third. Winnipeg, the only team to beat the Red Wings twice during the regular season. They also held Scotty Bowman's team to a 5-5 tie. The Red Wings won the last 3 regular season meetings to win the seasonal series 3-2-1. They lead this playoff round 3-1. But the Winnipeg Jets struggling desperately to take this series back to Winnipeg for a 6th game on Sunday.
And there's no comfort zone, certainly, for the Winnipeg Jets. Remember, Detroit has already scored 3 shorthanded goals in this series. The Jets, again, cannot just continue to back up.
Fedorov gets the slot, hits the post. Now back to the line to Konstantinov. He tees it up. It goes wide. Fedorov in the corner, being watched by Eastwood. Tried to throw it back to the line. The Winnipeg Jets break out 3 of them. Konstantinov trying to get back. Here's Shannon. Cross-ice pass and a great save by Osgood.
Reminiscent of Game 3 where Dave Manson scored the big goal in the odd man situation. This time, Chris Osgood comes up big.
Here's Yzerman driving towards the net. Kicked to the corner by Abby Bullen. Puck remains in the Winnipeg zone. Jamnov gets it back to Newman. 3:29 remaining in the 3rd period. 1 minute now in the Winnipeg power play. Winnipeg in front by a score of 2-1. Here's Newman driving it in. Ramsey takes it back to the net. Throws it up along the boards. Yzerman leaves it there for Bob Airy. Yzerman getting set. Puck to the corner by Abby Bullen. Centering attempt. Nobody in position. And the Winnipeg Jets start back, led by Craig Janney. He slides it ahead to Jamnov. Jamnov moving in. He attempted to go cross ice for Tkachuk. Tkachuk has it. He shoots. Saved by Osgood. Back at the line, it's McIver. McIver throws it into the corner. Fed across to Tverdovsky. A backhand shot towards the net. Knocked down. Janney plays it around the board. Shamnov lets it go to the point to McIver. 15 seconds in the penalty. There's a shot. It's broken up at the line. Long lead pass for Primo. Primo going in. Cut off by Tverdovsky. Draper takes McIver in against the boards. The puck is underneath them with 1 second left in the Paul Coffey penalty. 2:25 in the 3rd period. The Jets coming very close to getting what might have been a clinching goal.
And again, the Red Wings just have so much speed up front on the penalty-killing unit that when the puck does turn over, they immediately go to the attack. But I tell you what, Chris Osgood made a series of outstanding saves. 2-on-1 opportunity. Here's the pass across. It's onto the stick of Manson. You see Osgood, the 2-pad slide, just gets a piece of that puck. And then later on, Tkachuk gets it right between the hash marks. That puck deflected, and Osgood still manages to get the right leg on it. That perhaps saved the game for the Detroit Red Wings. It gives them a chance. They're only down by 1. 2 minutes and 25 seconds remain.
52 shots now Nikolai Habibulin has faced. Detroit, 13 first-period shots, 19 in the 2nd and 20 in the 3rd.
And the Red Wings have come up with a couple of defensive gems as well. There's the work of Mike Ramsey. Again, a partial 2-on-1 for Winnipeg, and Jamnov just can't get the puck across.
The maintenance staff had to come out to clean up some debris that was thrown on the ice.
Detroit also, again, comes very close. That time Fedorov just threw it towards the net, took a strange bounce off a skate, and Habibulin gets another good break.
Well, he's had a couple of breaks tonight, but there's been no denying his brilliance with 52 saves, 2:25 remaining in the 3rd. Yemina takes it to safety, back of his own net. Skates away now from Primo. Primo trying to stay with him. Yemina gets to center ice. He'll flip it in. He was looking for Shannon. It bounced over his stick. Shannon takes Coffey in against the board. Here's a lead pass for Fedorov. Fedorov gains the line, slides it through for Primo, and he fires wide. At the point, Coffey directs it towards the net. Knocked down in front of the goal. It goes back in the net, and then it's grabbed by Habibulin, and behind the Winnipeg net, Cicerelli is involved. And Mike Eastwood in there with the veteran Dino Cicerelli. In his rookie season, he had quite a year for the Minnesota North Stars in the playoffs. He had 14 goals in the 81 Cup final.
Well, he's always around that goal, and I'd be very surprised if Dino Ciccarelli spends much time on the Detroit bench towards the end of the game. Here's what happens. Eastwood gives Ciccarelli a little bit of a shot. Remember, Dino's got a very sensitive nose at this stage of this series, and I'm sure that's why the reaction came back from him. I'll tell you what, that gap between the Winnipeg defense and Sergei Fedorov as he brought the puck through the neutral zone is just too big. You can't let him pick up speed. This team has too much talent on the wings, and if you give him time to move that puck around, you know Detroit's going to get a couple more chances to score.
1:49 remaining in the third period. Winnipeg hanging on for dear life. They lead it 2-1. Eiserman tried to work his way through. He was stopped. The puck in the corner. Tkachuk is battling for it. He puts it to the line. Knocked out by Jani. Olczak picks it up. Fires it into the corner. Picked up there by Tkachuk. Tkachuk takes the shot. That bounced right in front of the net. And Jani couldn't get a stick on it. 1:20 remaining as McIver goes back after it. McIver dumps it down the ice. Picked up by Jamnov. Jamnov pokes it through. Fraser along the boards trying to move it. 1:08 remaining in the third period. Winnipeg leading 2-1. Here comes Eiserman. Eiserman into the slot. Shoots. That's up high. Bouncing off the glass. The Detroit net is empty. The extra attacker is out there. Jamnov couldn't get a stick on it. Primo tried to throw it towards the front of the net. 49 seconds remaining. The extra attacker out there. Jamnov manages to flip it down the ice. He scores! That will do it! The Winnipeg Jets, with 40.5 seconds remaining, have a 3-1 lead. And the series looks very definitely as though it will be going back to Winnipeg Sunday.
Well, what a remarkable effort by the Winnipeg Jets. Clearly outmatched for most of this hockey game. They get the brilliant game from Habby Bulin, and they battle it out of the zone, flip it down the ice. I don't think that Jamnov had any idea where he was directing that puck. The puck actually was rolling up on edge into the empty net. The huge insurance goal for Winnipeg. People are storming out of this building. They are in absolute shock.
Well, Scotty Bowman talked throughout this series about the work of Nikolai Habibulin. He had some difficulties pronouncing his name, but he fully realizes just how valuable this man has been to the Winnipeg Jets in getting them into the playoffs, first of all, and in getting the Winnipeg Jets back to within a game of even terms, going home for Sunday night's sixth game.
And I think all those octopi were intended to be for the celebration post-game. But Habby Bulin has delayed that, and I also don't think there are too many people in the Michigan area who don't know how to pronounce this young man's name now. He has been incredible.
Well, that's the only way to describe his postseason performance. There have been outstanding goaltending performances in other years by championship teams. Ken Dryden comes to mind, the year that he backstopped the Montreal Canadiens under Scotty Bowman to a Stanley Cup win when the Canadiens were something of the underdog going into the series. Nikolai Habibulin hasn't equaled the performance of Ken Dryden by any stretch of the imagination, but he certainly has the Red Wings talking to themselves tonight.
You know, you can read it in the eyes of the Detroit players. They're clearly frustrated, and with good reason. This is a game that they dominated from start to finish. There's only 40 seconds remaining.
Jamnov unassisted at 19-19, offsetting slashing penalties to Dave Manson and Keith Primo when the goal was scored. 23 seconds remaining now as the Red Wings work their way through the neutral zone. Airy fires it in, and this is a delayed offside call as it's stopped by Habby Bulin. So don't write those obituary notices yet. Don't make them final for the Winnipeg Jets.
What do you think, Don? You think it'll be a loud crowd when they get back to Winnipeg?
Last fight, wear white. That has been the theme of the playoffs, and white noise might take the roof right off the Winnipeg Arena on Sunday.
You know, I've said throughout this series that a guy like Teppo Numanum had to get more involved. I'd like to see his ice time, the minutes he logged during this hockey game. No wonder he doesn't get more involved in the offense. He's out there in every critical penalty-killing situation. He draws all kinds of special attention from Detroit. He had himself just an unbelievable night. The Red Wings, with all that firepower, just could not solve Khabibulin. See the satisfying look on the faces of those Winnipeg players. Scotty Bowman, well, it's going to be back to the drawing board, and we will await whatever adjustments, and you know there are going to be some, for the Red Wings in Game 6.
This is only the 4th time that the Red Wings have been beaten on home ice this year, but what a huge, huge win for the Winnipeg Jets. Nikolai Khabibulin is without question the man responsible for taking this series back to Winnipeg, and a 6th game on Sunday. He stopped 52 Red Wing shots in a 3-1 win. Nikolai Khabibulin named the #1 star tonight at the Joe Louis Arena. He could have been star number 2 and 3 as well, but that distinction went to Paul Coffey and Dino Ciccarelli. 52 saves for Nikolai Khabibulin in a 3-1 victory over the Red Wings Sunday afternoon, Game 6 in Winnipeg.
Jets win 3-1 at the Joe, and here's Darren Shannon to speak on behalf of his goaltender and the rest of his teammates. Have you ever seen goaltending like Khabibulin gave you tonight?
Oh man, he was unbelievable. I mean, we've come to expect that all year, but this game was even something more than the usual. I mean, I don't know how many 52, 54 shots they had, and 3-4 breakaways, 2-on-1s all game, and he came up with a unbelievable game.
Yeah, goaltenders have stolen games before, but he was truly remarkable tonight. Was another key to victory that you didn't go into the defensive shell that you did in Game 1 when you had the lead?
Well, certainly. We just tried to force them as much as possible. Obviously they had a lot more shots than we did, but it was a big game. Obviously we got some great goaltending, and penalty killing was obviously a big thing for us as well. The whole second period, pretty much, they were taking the play to us and had the power play almost the whole time, but we were able to stave them off, obviously, from Nicky's goaltending for sure.
All right, Darren, thanks for your time. Congratulations. Good luck in Game 6. And so, Ron, the Jets win 3-1, and they're still alive.
That's a wonderful story, Scott. Thank you. Thank you, Darren. The Jets are just like their fans. They will not go quietly. The shots for 52-19. Will they talk about 52-19 or will they talk about 1955 in Detroit? The Wings are in a jam as they head for the arena in Manitoba Sunday afternoon. Around the NHL tonight, the Rangers won 3-2. The game in Pittsburgh's still on, and I've warned Kelly Rudy to avoid Olaf Kolzig. More on that on Coach's Corner tomorrow night, I'm sure. 4-1 Yager adds the late goal there. Toronto-St. Louis, Game 6 tomorrow evening. It's doubleheader Saturday. We'll follow that with Colorado-Vancouver at 7:30 PT. All tomorrow, part of a huge weekend of Stanley Cup playoff action. Eddie O can smile as we say so long from Toronto.
CBC Sports, Canada's Olympic Network.
He's delivered the Jets to Game 6 and afforded the Sea of White another opportunity to see its team. The Stanley Cup playoffs on Molson Hockey Night in Canada will return to the Winnipeg Arena in just a moment. The Jets and the Wings are all set for Game 6 of their conference quarterfinal series.
Hell is a world where you have no home. And even though I was in heaven,